Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just a crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
The crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. Due to immediate and excessive use of bold font on X, it will remove from the view in the main timeline. You guys know that you have to click and post details to see anything in bold. Elon says, my eyes are bleeding.
What's up with the what people are doing bold?
What the hell is that guy doing over
It
there?
was showing up a lot over the weekend, too.
It was like
Oh,
yesterday.
I could type in bold. Look at this.
Well,
How cool is it?
You really get your
How
point
do you
across if you
type in
type in
bold?
bold.
I don't know how.
I thought people were just hollering.
That's what I always thought, too.
I know nothing about this.
If you go all caps, I feel like you're trying to really make a point.
bold,
You're being emphatic.
well, I like the idea of being bold.
Do
We're all
you?
Bold is
here.
beautiful.
Yeah, bold is beautiful.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Your enthusiasm is a little muted right now. You nervous?
Yeah, how are you
He
feeling
was
today?
pacing.
Incredibly
Outside the
nervous.
studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Game one of the
That's an important one.
Wildcard
Gotta get that
Series at
first one.
Camden Yards.
Yeah.
Got to get that first
Only
one.
one of these has gone 3, right?
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah,
think they're going to
that's
win
true.
the series. I kind of think they're going to win
The World
this series.
Series? Good
No,
for
this
you.
this particular one series at a time.
I like your starting pitching, and your bullpen is much better than Baltimore. I just wonder if you're going to be able to score runs.
Well, I wonder if they're going to be able to score runs. They have been a painfully average team since
Someone's
about the
gonna have to
All-Star
score
break.
runs.
That's true. It has been a disappointing year for Baltimore compared to last year.
I took your
They
Royals in
have
3.
played a little bit better of late. Remember, they won 2 of 3 against the Yanks, and then they swept the Twins.
Yeah, that's great.
Still,
Did you guys do a bracket challenge?
I did.
I did,
Who
too.
you got? Who we got?
So I got the Yankees and the Phillies. I think the Yankees will win the World Series.
All right, so
I can't say that that those are bad picks, but they're bad picks.
yeah, like it's not going to go that way.
This year it will.
Why? What evidence do we have? This is going to be chaos.
It's the reset button.
I think we will have some, by the time we get to the LDS, we'll have normalcy. We're going to have like 3-game series. It'll be exciting, but like Houston is not going to lose to Detroit. They might lose today because of Scooble. I'm not betting against Houston this time of the year.
I don't know about
You
that.
could give me Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter and Scooble and AJ Hinch.
No, the one thing I was sure of was, okay, the Astros are going to beat the Tigers. I don't know what else. Is gonna
Really?
happen.
I don't-
Everywhere
I
else.
can't-
I don't know
can't
how
bet
you
against
could
the
be.
Astros this
I don't
time
know
of the
how
year.
you could be so sure of anything. I don't know how you could be so sure of anything. I mean, like Scooble is the most likely person to win a single game out of anybody
But as
in the
you know,
in the
Connor,
playoffs.
It takes 2.
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
you can't just win one game and go to the LDS. You got to win 2.
sure, but then you got to win 1 out of 2, and that becomes easier. I don't know. Like I'm not convinced of anything.
You're not
And-
convinced that the Padres are the best team in baseball right now?
No. I think they could lose to the Braves.
Damn right.
Yeah. I think the Brewers could lose to the Mets. I think any of the
I'd be a
teams
big
coming
fan
out
of the Brewers losing because the Brewers get to spend like 2 days in the playoffs every year, and it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
At least they get to go.
I have no response to that.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
that they get to
can't-
go.
That was good, though. I did like the, it's
Hey.
cute.
Hey, wait till Pat Murphy is our bullpen coach next year. You can't beat him, steal him.
You're going to pay him $40 million?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that what Council was getting paid to have the same record as last year?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
I believe that's correct.
All right. I think I'm out of this conversation. You guys continue on. You all have playoff teams.
I mean, I'm dead serious when I say this. Like, I could see like a Royals Tigers ALCS and I don't know, Brewers Braves NLCS. Like,
I like those odds.
Royals taking out the Yanks, huh?
Sure. I mean, like, why not? And I'm not saying this just because, like, I think, like, I want it to be chaos. Obviously, it helps the Royals if it's chaos, but I just believe that that's what we've got ourselves into. That's what we have here, and I think that narrative will continue on and on and on and on.
I think we'll be opposite of last year, where we had the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, and 25 people watched, and they're very sad now because neither one of them made the playoffs. This year, we will have the brands, the big boys, the big markets.
All right.
So that rules out
Philadelphia
Cleveland.
will find a way to the World Series this year.
Is there any reasoning for it's just like, or you're just fading last year? It's
I'm
just
fading last year.
Yeah.
It
But I
eventually
also-
has to revert
I also
back
think-
to
No, it doesn't.
I also think the Phillies coming that close last year.
Yeah, the Phillies are. I mean, they're dangerous. If we're looking at the best team, it's them.
And I'd probably more than others have more faith in the Yankees.
Out of the American League, yeah. I think out of the favorites, the Yankees. Because if Houston beats Detroit, I think Houston beats Cleveland. If Detroit beats Houston, I think Cleveland has a shot.
I'm sorry,
of getting the
I have
LCS.
Houston beating you in my bracket.
Yeah, and that would I do too.
Just
But Kansas City, if they were to win, or Baltimore, I don't see either one of them taking down the Yankees. But in the NL side of it,
Really, can't see the Orioles beating the Yankees.
no,
I mean, it's
I
one
don't
thing
know.
about the Royals, but we can't see the Orioles beating the Yankees in a best of 5.
I don't know.
I certainly
I just
can.
feel like this is the Yankees.
I think the
out of
Orioles have
American
major
League.
problems with their bullpen. That's where you have a huge advantage in this 3-game series.
Oh, yeah. And Vinny Pasquantino's back.
Yes.
No other team
That
has
was a cool tweet.
They also have Santander.
Yeah, they have
Dunn.
Anthony Santander.
They have Rutschman.
Yeah. Who none of which have really been hitting over
Some Adley
the last several weeks. And
There'll be like a bunch of 2-1, 3-2 games.
I don't know. I could definitely see this one being
Burns and Reagans will go 7.
Yeah, I could definitely see this first one being that way.
both get a no decision.
It'll be like Spencer Schwellenbach. They'll unfortunately get pulled and the
What a
bullpens
waste.
will fall apart. The
I
next thing you know, you'll
Yeah.
scoreless to 3-0 to
Damn.
8-7.
8-7
Sorry, you won though.
in the
Yeah,
blink of an
yeah.
eye.
Doesn't
You're
matter.
fine. Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
And both
How
teams
about,
got to celebrate afterwards, both on the field and
By
in
the
their
way,
locker rooms.
I did look up what is the fastest 9-inning game in the history of baseball to see how close that game would come to it, because the Mets immediately were
Swinging
swinging at
everything.
first pitches.
yeah.
It's like game 162 or more in the minors, like minor league baseball, that last regular season game
Yeah.
where you're getting ready to go home. Everybody is like,
It's
not in a wink. We're swinging to the first
it's
pitch.
really every Sunday, if we're being honest, in minor league baseball. It's like let's go home. We've been here for a week. Let's do something else, and we're swinging.
Can we get the runtime under 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, Bob Costas talking about Pete Rose. Just thought you should know.
He's frozen though. Okay, he's back.
It wasn't-
we-
actually,
so-
as I
This
turned it
Wi-Fi.
on, he was frozen.
This
too.
might be a halfway decent crossover topic. What we were discussing this while we were getting ready to go here. What are the most common sports debates? And
Pete
how,
Rose in the Hall of
and
Fame.
how high is Pete Rose being or not being in the Hall of Fame on that list? Because I believe it to be number 2.
I think it's definitely top 5.
It's behind Jordan or LeBron.
Yeah, Jordan LeBron is number 1 for me.
Yep.
I think because LeBron is still playing, Jordan LeBron is number 1.
So when
Pete is number 2.
but when LeBron retires, we'll have the whole Jordan LeBron thing.
Yes.
Which that'll be soon.
But you also have to remember, like, as we get older, there are going to be fewer and fewer of us that actually saw Pete play. And you only know Pete as, like the sad
Mhm.
person
Well-
that he is, or from the Netflix special.
So maybe that's the case, but also I think people just look at the statistics and they say, well, what the hell? Why that guy's one of the best players of all time. He's the hit king. How is he not in the Hall of Fame? And then they look it up and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I can see that, but forgive and forget. We live in a different society now. Like, I think my guess would be that younger people now would look at Pete Rose, if they're just finding out about it, look at the case and say, oh yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
They're going to look at the
But-
numbers more than
but
the.
Do
Oh,
younger
okay.
people
Certainly.
care about a
Yeah.
museum anymore?
Probably.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
probably.
That's
Probably
a fair
not.
take. They might pretend they do.
Probably not.
I
But if
mean,
that's the debate, like, should he or should he not be in
Yeah.
the Hall of Fame?
I think it's a useless debate. I don't partake in it, but
Mhm.
Oh, I'm team Hall of Fame. I'm team put the steroid guys in the Hall of Fame. Like, I think they are.
You compartmentalize what was on the field.
Well, I just think, yeah. I guess
No,
maybe I
I'm
hold
not
it.
saying you're wrong. I'm not
Maybe I
saying you're
hold the
wrong.
Hall in a lesser regard
Yeah.
than some of the scribes out there who are voting on these things. But like, yeah, I think that I think the Hall of Fame should be a representative of the times.
Mhm.
And you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, the complete story of
that's very
baseball.
true.
And you can't tell the story of baseball without Barry Bonds.
Yep.
I
No.
mean,
Yep.
the Hall of Fame not having Pete Rose in has taken more of a hit than having him in. in my opinion. Because
I mean, then the conversation would just go away.
well,
How
but
would
now-
you explain to your child when you tour Cooperstown that there was a gambler in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I would say, there's a guy named Ty Cobb, and then
I see what you're doing there, Josh.
So then while we're getting, hey, hold on, before we go into that next exhibit, I got to check my FanDuel,
Right,
I
exactly.
know.
which by the way has a Major League Baseball logo on it.
Right. That's
I
what's
mean,
kind of funny about it.
I opened our show by saying this. Pete Rose is the modern day Babe Ruth. If you look at his lifestyle, if you look at his accomplishments,
Okay.
that's
okay.
essentially what he is. Now, Pete Rose, great baseball player, great at baseball, horrible at life. But there's a lot of guys in the Hall that were great at baseball,
Yeah.
struggled when it came to life, and are flawed like all of us.
Did
are.
you guys see Tim Kirkchin's little
Yes.
piece?
Yeah.
I like the way he sort of framed it up,
Yeah.
which was, Charlie Hustle just starting it there.
And then hustle.
And then he's
Oh,
just
man, yeah.
he's hustling, right?
Yeah.
He's in Vegas signing autographs. He's at whatever he is, just hot, with his white hat that
Yeah.
says nothing on it.
Yep.
Or has the Cincinnati
See,
C
that's
that you can
like-
barely see.
Nick
Like
and I
he's
were,
a hustler.
Yeah.
Nick and I were talking. I think the thing that was missed is a guy that loves the game of baseball couldn't be around baseball.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
couldn't be in spring training with the Reds, working with the young players. Because if you ever interviewed him or you went to Field of Dreams at Caesar's Palace and sat down with old Pete to get his autograph, he loved talking baseball.
Yeah.
There are fewer and fewer guys that are around that just like talking the sport, like talk about hitting, talk about the play, how you play the game. That's what we missed. I mean, you don't think that younger players would have been captivated to hear Pete Rose talk about the game like he loves it?
So you remember when he was doing that stuff with Fox
Yeah.
a handful of years ago? That came up last night. His whole breakdown with A-Rod.
He was
You're-
just
you're
quirky on air.
No, but I think you're totally right though. Like you get him talking about baseball,
Yep.
and that's a great lane for him.
Yeah.
You get him talking about anything else, it's just like, where are we going? What's going on here?
Have you guys
But I
seen
don't
the
think
ne-
that's enough to be like, well, he's a
Right.
scourge on the game or anything like that.
Rule 1, gentlemen. Rule 1.
Don't bet on baseball.
Yeah. It's in
Yeah.
every clubhouse in English and Spanish.
Yeah, you know what they do. So
And
so you guys know what
Japanese.
they do in spring training.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they have
And I
many
witnessed this
seminars.
firsthand. So the first day that the entire roster is in spring training, the Twins everybody was in the clubhouse. And, of course, the manager at the time, Ron Gardenhire, is going to speak. The GM will speak. The traveling secretary will speak. Media relations, Dustin will speak. And then they will have, and then like the owner or the general manager, they'll all speak. But they always have somebody from Major League Baseball there that will explain things that you cannot do. It's usually Major League Baseball security. And that is like, they reiterate that.
It's a scared straight thing, basically.
It is. They will have that guy and they will have the tobacco guy. That's essentially like how they finish these first team meetings.
Yeah, guys don't do tobacco anymore.
No. Oh, yeah.
They do zins.
Well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, you just-
Nobody's chewing.
because when
It's-
you're
he's got
standing with
pouches.
a bunch of professional baseball players and a guy stands up and he's missing the bottom of his mouth and he's like, you know what, I chewed tobacco, and you're like,
yeah,
and
they're
you
like,
look
ladies
at-
and gentlemen, let me
and
introduce
look
you to
at-
Tony
and you
Gwynn.
look at like the
Yes.
Latin guys that are in the room and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's scared straight.
Yeah.
For
Like,
sure.
no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. We'll load up on the bubble gum in the
Yep.
the dugout.
Give me some double bubble.
That stuff lasts like 10 seconds.
It does.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it is, but
I was,
you can still blow some mean bubbles.
yeah, I sneak into the dugout before the games and I grab myself a couple pieces of the double bubble.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome.
Oh, and then
and then I
your
throw
jaw,
it away.
your jaw is sore from just trying to get through the texture of it.
So there was because you'd go from Major League spring training where guys could still chew, and then minor league baseball you can't chew, and there would be people that would sit in the stands and they would be looking, and I mean you get fined. Our manager in Fort Myers got fined like $750 because he was stupid enough. He had his can in his back pocket as he went to make a pitching change.
Yep.
But there would be guys with the Twins that trying to wean themselves off of chewing would wrap sunflower seeds and bubble gum together
Yeah, so you
Yeah, well,
so you'd
that's-
have
you
the
still get
chew.
the-
that replaces
And
the
then-
Scooby snack.
and
Yes.
it salivates, so you're spitting. Yep.
Yeah.
There was the Did
You still see it plenty, though.
Did any of you guys? Because you mentioned the can. Did any of you guys do this when you were playing? This would have been Little League baseball for me when this was actually a thing.
The jerky?
the jerky stuff.
Yeah.
That had the circular can, and he had it just because we saw our favorite players with the circular can, like George Brett. And you thought, oh, that's cool. I can't obviously have the chew.
If you
but
ever-
this has a circle can, I'm going to put it in my back pocket.
But if you ever tried to like stuff that stuff in your lip, it would be the most painful thing of all.
Well, it was like
time.
fuzzy. It was weird. It was. I don't even know. I would hate to look at what it actually was, but it was fuzzy. It was very
fuzzy.
strange. Yes,
Big,
it was fuzzy.
Big League Chew, though. When that came out and you were playing Little League baseball and they sold that at the concession
Yep.
stand, that thing would run out.
Oh
quickest.
yeah, it's
Had-
buying big league
Had
chew.
to have it. Had
grape,
to.
grape, the purple one.
Yeah.
take.
I was a big watermelon fan. Grape was great. The regular was
Straight up.
couldn't go wrong with that. Then they didn't have a wild cherry one too.
Oh,
Or a
they
cherry,
have
had a
all
cherry one.
Let's see. I'm gonna order a big league.
They've made
chew.
a
Just get a
comeback.
variety pack. Yeah,
Like they because
Pretty readily available now.
yeah, but people I mean, people don't chew gum. Like
People don't chew gum. Is this
No.
right?
how many people?
not the
see
big
chewing
wad
gum?
of gum.
Right.
Not the big wad of gum. Yeah, I think they like.
Whatever
their-
happened to blowing bubbles?
Yeah, see, I think that's the thing. I think blowing bubbles is a thing of the past.
Do people blow bubbles anymore?
No, not gum bubbles. Maybe
Huh.
kids still blow the bubbles, but not the gum
my
bubbles.
kid loves bubbles.
Yeah.
Ed says ironic because today is National Chewing Gum Day.
Is it?
Oh, is
Really?
it? Oh, okay.
When's the last time you guys bought a pack of chewing gum that was not for fresh breath?
Oh, just for pleasure?
Oh, I've got to
For like blowing bubbles or for
like if
for
I got
taste?
if I got like bubble yum.
Yeah, it's been
Oh,
it's been
I'm-
quite some
I'm
time.
Like you're
hankering
checking.
for-
Okay,
yeah.
so you go to the grocery store and you're checking out, and you know where they have like the candy that is above the.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, you know what? Bubble yum sounds good. I haven't had it in
Yeah.
a long time. Throw a pack on the conveyor belt.
I usually go
Yeah, I
with
have
the little things that are in like the mint cans.
Yeah.
that taste good.
Yes, that they look
What are
like
those called? The little.
Mm.
They're not breath fresheners, although I do think they have that.
icebreakers.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
icebreakers.
The icebreakers.
They're
yeah.
not mints though; they're like flavored.
Yeah, they have a little bit of gum
Yeah.
in the middle.
All
But
right,
you're definitely not getting that to blow bubbles.
Oh, and you're not talking about Altoids, are you?
No,
Oh, those are straight up
You ever
No,
had that
that's
done on you?
That's gas. That's gas, baby.
What did you just ask?
None.
All right. So, all right, here we go.
Altoids started to be used for a different thing.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, and I thought that's what you just said.
Rank the big league chew flavors. Here are your options. There's 7. Out of here, original, ground ball grape, swinging sour apple, slamming strawberry,
Oh, strawberry.
big rally blue raspberry, wild pitch watermelon, and curveball cotton candy. I can
Oh, so
tell
there
you
was
which
no
one to
cherry.
do last.
God, I thought there was a cherry cola. I could have swore there was a cherry
Cherry
cola.
cola.
Charles in the chat said cherry cola.
Yeah, there was a
Big
cherry
League
cola
Chew.
watermelon or
Wow,
cherry cola.
yeah.
Not on their website right now.
come on.
Discontinued.
Blue raspberry would be at the bottom. I don't even think I ever had it. So.
Cotton candy would
Cotton
be at
candy,
the bottom.
no.
Yeah, cotton candy at the bottom.
Ground ball grape, swinging sour apple. I mean that.
What was
those
the
are
watermelon one again?
the wild pitch watermelon?
Yeah, give me wild pitch watermelon.
Yeah.
number 1.
It's a good one.
Grape would be number 1.
Thank you. Ground ball grape.
Ground ball grape.
They also have 80 count gumball buckets, 240 count gumball buckets.
I tried the gumball buckets. It's no. You got to have the strands.
55 count mini gumball to go cup. And then you could get it in a baseball or you could get it in a baseball bat, but these are all gumballs. I don't want
Yeah, so we
gumballs.
did that for Reese's first birthday. It was a rookie of the year theme. And so we did baseball. We
Nice.
got the little
God knows that.
We got those gumballs, the Big League Chew gumballs, because they came in a tub. We had those for like the next year. And you initially get the same flavor, but it's just not the same experience. So I want the pack.
Text from the 402.
High 402.
Once again, regarding Pete Rose gambling, who cares? It's white male dorks that do. But that's what we're talking about, like the sports debates. I mean, these are all.
It's fair. We're white.
There will be no solution to this.
I'm
ever.
a dork.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. We all fit in this category. White male dorks. We care about this.
Yeah.
But these are the sports
Yeah.
debates that we have.
Do they still sell Jawbreakers?
Ooh, I wonder if
Seems
they might
like a
have that.
hazard.
Yeah, I could see that now being considered a hazard.
Probably have to go to like a
Regular, like the fancy
A
candy.
candy
Yeah,
store,
like
yeah.
a retro candy store. Still got Mambas. They still have Mambas.
Yeah, they make Mambas.
I like
My
them.
wife likes Mambas.
I loved Mambas.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
You know,
Starbursts are readily
you know
available.
who has a nice
true.
extensive like
I don't know
candy
about Mambas.
selection is Quick Trip.
Good candy.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They
And
got some
then
good
they
team
have
roster.
like the blow pop is separate. So for like
Good.
35 cents, you can
See,
get a blow pop.
Oh.
that's a good call
Going to
there.
the-
You got to
going to
keep
the-
that separate.
Going to the gas station, getting the Tootsie Pops with the star, for the wrappers. I mean, those.
And
were
if you got the
days.
cowboy or the Indian.
So what?
Was that an urban myth that
No.
like if you could go to Kmart or
Yeah. You could
that
get
was real?
You get a free Tootsie Pop
Really?
if you have a star on your
if you got a star on the wrapper. Yeah.
Oh, that was real.
Oh yeah, I did
Okay.
that many times.
So did it actually happen to
I
you?
did it at big. What was it? What's the gas station that? Well, it's called something different now, but it's on 120th and Fort. Josh, right in the corner there. I think it was called
Quick Shop?
Eddie's or something.
Eddie's, yeah.
Eddie's.
Yeah. I still call it Eddie's.
I used to ride my bike over to Eddie's and just grab the
Huh.
lollipops and then
Really?
turn them in for more lollipops.
I just felt like
maybe that's why it's not Eddie's anymore.
Yeah, that
Giving out too many
That's not a good
freebies.
business model there.
I buy a Gatorade too.
I always thought everybody knew someone who knew somebody who had that happen.
What's your
Actually, no, you who
favorite
did it?
most what's your favorite new candy that you've discovered?
Ooh. I'm always interested in what Reese's is doing.
Yeah, Reese's when they
Well-
went with the Reese's pieces in the middle of the peanut butter cup,
Yeah.
kind of good.
So they've got the pumpkin Reese's Pieces
Uh-huh.
that are out right now.
Okay.
Oh, like flavored?
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
no, no,
Um,
no.
So they have got a because they were giving out samples. Snickers has a pecan.
I like that one.
So I
Oh,
just noticed it like
interesting.
maybe a month ago.
Did you guys like the Snickers almond one?
I do.
Remember they did? Okay,
Yeah.
it's
And it's still looks like it's popular.
See, I stray away from the chocolate. I go more toward the sour stuff. On
Sour
candy.
Patch watermelons are still one of my
So
favorites.
Sour Patch Kids, obviously fantastic.
Mhm.
But one of the new ones that I don't know if this is new, but I'm for some reason around people that have these, the Nerds clusters.
Those are delicious.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Those are amazing.
Hmm.
Nerds clusters. Check them out.
By the way, do you guys want to take a stab at what it costs for 2 bottles of water, a thing of Skittles, and medium popcorn at the movie theater?
Oh, the movie theater. Okay.
Oh, at the
say-
movie-
Well,
Yeah, because I went on a
say the
Monday.
order again.
Okay.
You
I
went
went
on a Monday.
I went on a Monday.
2 bottles of water.
2 bottles of water,
Those are at least $7 a pop.
a modest size of Skittles, and medium buttered popcorn.
$14.50.
Anyone else?
I
More?
will go $30.
$28.
Yep.
Yep. Good Lord. Yep. Jesus. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Okay.
Mhm.
Don't, yeah, get your candy at Eddie's before you go.
Smuggle it in your jacket. That 16-year-old doesn't care.
No,
I s-
no.
yeah,
That's
I
why
always go to the, sometimes when I go to the well, I don't go to the movies usually, but when I do go to the movies, there's always a person like you could hear the pop can opening. I'm like, nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Respect.
When I come back in a different life, I'm going to open up dollar stores near movie theaters.
They used to have, oh God, where was it at? There was one that was right by where we used to go. Oh yeah. When Millard Plaza, it was the Millard 4. We're by the now the Great Pizza Machine. That was where we used to go. And there was a pretty reasonably priced convenience store right there. So we'd always stop there and then go to the movie. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, so
man.
in the middle of the summer, you're wearing a winter coat into a movie
Right.
theater. You're cold. It gets cold in there.
Yeah.
Well, now you can just bring your blanket.
People bring their blankets.
We know what you're doing.
Yeah.
over
Okay.
there.
So hold on. That's a trend. I've noticed the last 2 times I've been to the movie theater, and I don't want to assume the worst or assume, hey, good on you. But why are we bringing blankets into the movie theater now?
I think for 2 purposes. I think one we all know and we don't need even to say, and the other is probably to smuggle some stuff in. Are you really that cold?
Oh, people are cold. People get cold.
Oh, come on. Stay at home then.
You know it's gonna be cold in there once you dress for the
Yeah, wear a hoodie.
dress
Exactly.
for the theater.
Oh, you got to be comfortable.
I
You gotta
mean,
do that
when you
blanket.
go to the Letterman show, you're not bringing a blanket. You know that it's just gonna
No.
be cold in the studio.
To be fair, like I am with you guys generally in the sense that like I think we are all too comfortable in movie theaters now. It is made basically as a place where you should and can fall asleep.
Yep.
The chairs recline.
Yep.
And
It's not your living room, you sicko.
yeah, exactly.
I agree.
I think we should go back to the movie theaters where they all just have the
some of the most uncomfortable chairs.
really uncomfortable chairs.
Remember when they could rock at first? That was like the craziest thing. Like, wow,
Are we
going
gonna
to
go back to those prices?
Bring back really uncomfortable chairs at movie theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys like that?
I do.
They good.
Everyone should have to experience that. There's an entire
struggling.
generation.
I'm sure that'll help with the attendance.
Well,
And sometimes your chair rocked and it wasn't supposed to. It was just really poorly bolted in.
Yeah.
I think we need to get the people to the movie theaters that want to be at the movies, not that want to just be comfortable and lay down for a few hours.
Yeah.
Actually, a great take.
It is. It is. Stay at home then.
Seriously.
Fall asleep to the movie, then you can watch the rest of it when you wake up.
Gonzaga has officially announced its entry to the Pac-12 conference.
Man, they're making moves.
Effective July 1, 2026.
Asterisk basketball only.
That's a fun thing.
So all the other sports stay in the West Coast Conference?
Let me read here.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Because they have a few other sports that are pretty good. Like baseball, they're not bad. I think their women's basketball team is pretty good too. So they would go.
Yeah, the women are going according to this release. The women are going. Gosh, it just
it says basketball only, but
that would
who's
that
for?
Yeah. Well, the dream of Gonzaga playing in Omaha as a conference game is now over.
Was Gonzaga going to go to the Big East?
Wasn't that going to happen?
Well, I thought UConn was going to go to the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or something.
Remember that beautiful 30 minutes a couple years ago where Gonzaga was going to the Big East?
Yeah.
And we were like, gosh, Omaha to Spokane, that's a long way. But what about the people in Providence? And then we were like, hey, have you seen Stanford's in the ACC?
Right. Yeah.
Stanford has made back-to-back trips. They went to Syracuse and then where were they at Clemson this weekend?
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, what are we doing?
And there was a hurricane in there somewhere.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Like, look at Oregon State baseball is not only coming to Lincoln. In May, they're coming back to the Midwest. They're going to play in Des Moines against Iowa.
Yeah. Why are they playing that in Des Moines?
Because I think Iowa likes playing. Like last year, Iowa played like Florida International in Des Moines.
Yeah.
At Principal Park.
Yeah.
I think because Rick Heller recruits heavily in Des Moines.
And they have a garbage baseball.
Well, isn't their field going under some stuff right now?
I
too?
thought they did.
Is it
that.
done?
I thought it was.
Is it all done?
Yeah.
I just know they're playing like a special series because they want to bring the Hawks to Des Moines.
Oh, that's cool.
Bring the Hawks to Des Moines.
Hawktua in Des Moines.
Hang the banner. She'll be there, I bet.
You guys,
she is there. They had vodka Sam. Now they're gonna have Hawktua.
Yep. She is third in the most downloaded podcast going right now.
I got it. Hey, I got to
I
mow
don't
today.
care.
Last time I mowed, I gave 5 minutes of my time.
Why would I care if many people are listening to her? Why would I care?
That actually tells
You
me
have FOMO.
everything I need to know.
Exactly.
You have FOMO, Connor.
No.
You want to know what you're
might
I
missing
am
out on?
missing nothing.
Yeah.
You might learn something.
I won't. I will not.
What's good for the whole isn't good for the soul.
Is that what she says?
Yeah, I think is it that or the other way around.
I
can't
believe
remember.
I've heard her say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good advice if you think about it on the whole.
It needs to be a shirt.
Johnny Mills in. He says, I carry a bottle of Diet Coke into the theater every time I go, and I don't even try to hide it. No one ever says anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, and he's right. What is anybody gonna be like? I'm sorry.
No one takes your tickets at Exarban Village.
No, they just walk in.
They just make sure that you go to the kiosk and get a piece of paper.
Yeah. I would love to see them actually enforce that. Sir, did you bring that beverage from outside?
Yeah, I did.
I did.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. See you later.
I don't see
Big gulps. Huh? All right.
I don't see a prominent sign anywhere that says no outside food or beverage.
Yeah.
That is true.
You just played dumb. Oh, I thought I could do this.
They used to run that before the show started.
Yep.
Just remember that there is no outside food or beverage.
By the way,
your cell phone.
There was no silence to cell phone yesterday. None. None. Is that just implied now?
By the way,
got their stupid watches now.
Yes,
that are
that's
lighting up during
that
the movie.
See, that happens more than the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
I may or may not have had that.
I say let's let Josh, one of our foremost moviegoers in America, just make all the rules for the theaters going forward. That's what I want.
I'm trying to watch Greg Marcus interview Kevin Costner. I don't need your watch light.
I'm Greg Marcus.
Greg Marcus was telling me about popcorn yesterday.
Greg Marcus and his big nose.
Yeah, he's so cool. I want to meet that guy.
I really do.
I kind of do.
Just got so many questions.
Yeah, we got to get a cameo or something.
All right. Good luck to both your teams today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Got a lot going on today.
Chris Sale's going to Willis Reed this thing.
Creighton volleyball.
Yeah.
Big one.
The only big one.
Vice presidential debate.
Oh no, is that really happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tonight.
You
I
got JD against
had no idea.
Coach.
Yeah. Coach Walls. You think he'll talk about some schemes?
Wow. So yes, it is a busy day. You guys enjoy your afternoon.
You
Welcome
too.
to Rocktober.
That is the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha. It's everlevelconcrete.com. It is Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, here we go. Welcome to October, ladies and gentlemen. Some refer to this as the best sports month of the year, or maybe just the best month of the year in general. Maybe you're just a weather fan.
Flannel alert.
Flannel alert, indeed.
It's going to be 90 tomorrow. Flannel alert.
Yeah, we're going to get high of 70 today in the metro, and then we'll be bouncing right back to the summer after this. So stick with us. Ride the roller coaster, and welcome to October. Welcome to October baseball. For those of you who are interested.
Imagine not being in the playoffs.
Some in this room are interested. That's for sure. We have an interest, Josh, do we not?
Major interest.
Major interest. Yeah. I am in an interesting place from an emotional standpoint right now.
Take us through that.
I can't really explain it other than the team that I unfortunately follow every day, who's been really horrible since they last won the World Series in 2015, is back in the postseason. I don't know how to feel about it. Should I be excited? Should I not be excited? Should I just hold my breath? Should I just be happy that they're here? But I always say this, when it comes to, sports franchises, when you get to the postseason, you never know, first of all. And when you get to the postseason, you better take advantage of it, because there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. People might look at the Royals and they might say, if they don't win this year, that's okay. That sets the groundwork for what's going to happen going forward. There are no guarantees, baby.
Tell the Orlando Magic that.
Untether yourself, as I always say. So we will have a full slate of playoff baseball today, starting with the Tigers playing a day game.
As God intended.
With Tarik Skubal, the AL Cy Young Award winner, the future AL Cy Young Award winner, against the Astros at 1:30.
Cash it.
Royals and Orioles at 3. Mets and Brewers at 4:30. And Braves and Padres at 7:30. Braves got that starting pitcher yet, Josh?
Not that I've seen.
Working on it.
No.
TBD. Have you ever seen a TBD for game 1 of the playoffs? I haven't.
Depends on how Chris Sale responds to the injections. I'm going to guess.
The injections.
Just wildly assuming.
Gotcha.
Rosters are due at noon Central.
So, by the way, we were talking about Gonzaga. Just quickly, I want to clean this up. We were talking about Gonzaga going to the Pac-12 earlier. It appears as if they are going as an all-sport member, if anybody cares about that.
Okay.
It has been reported. It wasn't clear in the press release that they put out, which I was reading through. I was combing through trying to find out, so they didn't mention it's specifically a basketball-only member. So they're going to go in as an all-sport member to this new Pac-12 conference, which is going in on basketball, or at least going in on whatever they can find. And Gonzaga is going to be a part of that. Welcome.
I do like all sport.
To a Tuesday show. You and Trev Alberts, Josh. Handshake meme. Here on 1620 The Zone. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. Today, we will have Jake Eisenberg, one of the voices of the Kansas City Royals, coming up at the top of the hour to preview the postseason and what the Royals have done to get to this point. Once again, forgive me, we'll have a bit of an extended conversation with Jake, but it's all fantastic stuff. And
I'm tired of you apologizing for your sports fandom.
I'm not sorry. So Jake will join us right at the top of the hour, and man, what an addition that he's been, and what a 2 seasons that he has seen at the major league level, where 106 losses last year and now a playoff appearance this year and 86 wins. So young Jake will join us at 11. Allan Bell coming up to talk some NFL at 11:30. Jacob Bigelow coming up at 1. That is the lineup, powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Elsewhere on the show today, we will have our Big Ten stock report. We're gonna change the Big Ten report card now that we're at a non-conference play to the Big Ten stock report. Josh,
very classy.
Is that okay?
People have stocks.
It's
and
just
bonds.
It's harder to do the report card when they're all playing each other.
Okay,
right. So we're gonna do the stock report: stock up, stock down, hold the stock.
Diamond strong hands.
We'll also have NFL reaction, overreaction, and ride the emotional roller coaster with me thinking about the possibilities. We'll probably get a Royals lineup at some point during this show.
Definitely.
We'll also talk some Husker football, where the next 2 games for Nebraska are gigantic. They're huge. Don't let Rutgers and Indiana lull you to sleep. They are very, very important games and will shape the narrative of the last 5 of the season. Will Nebraska be 6-1 going into that battle against Ohio State, or will they be 5-2, or will they be 4-3?
Shut your dirty mouth.
All right. So I think it's all on the table right now. Matt Rule yesterday having some comments about a variety of different things. Conference realignment alert keeps popping up. Special teams. So we got a lot to get to on the show today. Welcome to it. Want to hear from you. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We also say good morning to the YouTube streamers this morning. Hello, everybody. Josh and I are a little bit stressed It's October. Josh had a long, long day yesterday.
Too blessed to be stressed, Connor.
Yeah, Josh is trying to play this cool. But they needed to win a sham of a game against the Mets to get into the playoffs.
That's why I wasn't worried, because it was a sham of a game, Connor.
Just quickly on that. So I went back and I looked at the box from I watched most of the game, and then Carl Rabb was talking about the cow too much, the Chick-fil-A cow too much. I'm like, I'm not gonna.
That's a Holstein. I don't know any other kinds of
Chick-fil-A cow.
It's not a cow. It's a statue.
So the Braves pitchers yesterday in game 2, after the roller coaster of a game 1, threw 114 pitches, which is already a pretty low total for a baseball game in total. 77 of which were strikes.
Good percentage. Guys were shoving.
Mets hitters walked just once. I'd call that collusion, but let's just look past it. Let's just skip forward.
I called it collusion on Twitter.
No, I'm not shaming you, Josh. I'm just saying, like, it needs to be out there. Collusion. So yeah, it was quite the day and in the experience in Atlanta.
If there were any Diamondbacks fans, I'm sure they're pretty pissed.
Yeah. It was a bit of a sham. A bit of a sham. All right, so we're off and running on a Tuesday. Once again, welcome to October, everybody. Wow.
This is it.
Get the long sleeves and the pants out.
Flannel alert.
It feels good for a couple days until you're like, where's summer?
I noticed you didn't say like the nightcap of my day yesterday. It was a great day yesterday. Braves had a thrilling game 1, but they lost. Won a sham of a game 2 to make the playoffs. And then my Tennessee Titans just routing the Miami Dolphins.
Speaking of shams of games, an absolute scourge on football last night in Miami. Unpleasant to the eye, Josh.
You really ooped my alley there. Thank you.
Unpleasant to the eye.
No, I watched it, and I'm a
Titans
fan.
Watched it too.
I watched all 4 quarters, Connor.
Oh, I watched it until I couldn't watch it anymore.
I didn't watch it while the Seahawks and Lions were at a commercial or anything. I watched that whole game.
Watched until my eyes burned out of my head.
It was trash.
Not good. Turns out quarterback play is indeed important in the NFL. So we're off and running on a Tuesday. We'll be back. A couple of things to get to before we talk to our dear friend, young Jake, who's done a lovely job with the Kansas City Royals over the last couple of years and is ready to call his first playoff game today in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I'm still learning how to be a dad. I'm still learning how to exploit my child as well. This is by far the most interaction I've ever gotten on my "We Are Doing a Radio Show" picture today.
Oh,
Me
it's
and
a
my
good one.
cute baby.
That's a good one.
It really warms my heart when people are like, "Hey, man, I don't have any dog in this fight, but that's a cute baby." So thanks.
You're gonna want to print that one out.
Yeah, it was one of the first things I did upon her birth. I went on MLB.com or whatever, and I was like, "Send me that 3-pack of onesies." That says
yeah.
she's not going to have a choice, and she doesn't know a world in which the Royals don't make the playoffs.
That's right. For a brief stint, my child once never knew a world like Tiger Woods won every major.
Yeah,
During my
that actually
birth.
lasted quite some time.
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah,
It did.
By the way, we'll talk to Jake in a minute. We do have a Royals lineup in case
I'm looking
anybody
right
is
at it.
interesting. So, they didn't do the thing that I wanted them to do.
They did the thing you said they would do. Then.
They did the thing that I said I said they'd do. Vinny Pasquantino has returned in half the time frame that was originally thought when he hurt his thumb in Houston on that fateful day in Houston.
That's right.
In early September, he is back.
Yep, that's the fateful day in Houston. People talk about
in the DH spot. Salvador Perez is behind the plate, and Yuli Gurriel is playing first. MJ Melendez is in left. All right, you don't care about big Royals lineup overreaction, but I don't know. This has set me on another emotional roller coaster, I suppose. All right, so couple things here from yesterday. Remember when Lisa Buter was yelling about Big Ten protocol? That's not Big Ten protocol. That's Big Ten protocol. We got some new news on Big Ten protocol. The Big Ten is officially modifying its protocol for onside kicks after the ending of Minnesota-Michigan. Their official statement from the league: with a minute 37 remaining in the fourth quarter of Saturday's game between Michigan and Minnesota, Minnesota attempted an onside kick and was flagged for an offside penalty. Offside infractions are not reviewable plays. The penalty was accepted and enforced before Minnesota's second onside kick attempt, which was then recovered by Michigan. Effective now, the Big Ten has been approved by the NCAA to implement a modified officiating mechanic that will allow the conference to change the manner in which it officiates onside kicks by positioning the line judge and headline judge on the kicking team's restraining line, basically the line of scrimmage, thereby putting multiple officials in the best position to consistently make the correct judgment. Here is my question: where the F were they in the first place?
I thought something similar yesterday when I read and I am not a smart man, and
Where were they? Where do they put them if they can't put them there?
Like, oh, so all this says is they can stand in the spot to best see the play.
There's no
Why
guarantees
were they not doing that before.
No guarantees on whether they're going to get it right still. Which I don't know if you saw that play with Michigan and Minnesota on Saturday. I mean, it was very, very iffy. You know, it was basically bang bang. The guy's arm was potentially in front of the line as the ball was being kicked. Feel horrible for Minnesota. PJ Fleck issued a statement to follow. He says, "We submitted the play to the Big Ten coordinator of officials for review. The coordinator informed us that the play was too tight to flag. We credit the Big Ten Conference for recognizing the need to make this change to ensure accurate calls in the future." PJ doesn't want to get fined, but he's saying, okay, appreciate you for, because here's what happens in this situation. People hold up their pitchforks and stuff, and they're like, we want real change right now.
Replay the game.
Yeah, we have to do this again. We have to fix it and change it. There's no getting back that moment. That is the cold hard truth of events like this. There's, when Thomas Fedoni commits a pass interference penalty where he did not make contact with the person that he apparently interfered with, there's no getting that play back. It's like there's no review process for flags. They They just have to, like Matt Rule said it yesterday, they just have to submit it to the conference after the game and say, here's what you did wrong. Can we please ensure that this never happens again and make all of our lives easier? And then it happens again every single time because it's in the moment and it's hard. And like we just go on throughout life. So people, they always want transparency from officials, and they always want the officials to pay for it. Maybe they should be demoted and stuff like that. The Big Ten is never going to tell us who their officials are, or, like we might know their names and their faces. They're never going to tell us who they are, why they're at a game, and when they're at a game, and what their standing of, like how good of officials they are, and then how that affects which game they are assigned to. That's not going to happen. I was making this case the other day we were talking about officiating on our pod with me and Mitch. I'm like, and people always want this, but look at what has happened in the NBA now that they have had to make, or they have chosen, I suppose, to have a little bit more transparency in officiating. It's the last 2-minute report. They have that ref Twitter account that says, all right, here's who's going to be where on what day.
Yeah, it's Joey's Twitter account.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And look what has happened as a result of it. Officiating is a constant conversation within that league, and it takes up too much of a space in our brain. Like I'm sorry to say it, but the more this sits in the background and the more that we don't know about it, the better off we all are, because we could just I would rather take these, in some cases, horrible instances of officiating and try and learn from it and move on and do better next time, because that's the only thing that they could say to the officials. Look, do better. People make mistakes, do better. Right. I would rather have that world that we currently live in this conference or in college football or whatever, than I would constantly it being a narrative like it is in the NBA or like it is in Major League Baseball now, where they have all these grading systems, and maybe that's third party usually, these grading systems, and we know who the best and worst umpires are. We play 162 games a year in baseball, and so like we have really good statistics to back up who's good and who's not good. But then you go into a game and you say, well, we got Angel Hernandez today, we're going to get screwed somehow. Now you don't have that anymore because he quit, but you get the point, right? We got Laz Diaz today. So, I just don't want it to be as much of a conversation as it currently is. And I think the only way to have that is to just say, all right, let's put out a statement. Let's say we're going to do better. And then let's just try and bury it and do better. I'm sorry. I think that's our path forward here.
It is the path forward. It doesn't mean it's the best thing the conference can do. They could actually get better.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
Well, they try.
The players could also get better and not commit so many penalties.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be that piece.
Maybe look at the ball as it's coming towards you if you're defending a pass.
I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh, well, there needs to be all this empathy for officials and all that stuff.
They have a tough job, Cotter.
They do. And I want them to be better at it. But like, people always, there has to be consequences. They have to, like, if you think that way, then you must be under the guise that officials are doing these things on purpose. Like, they're not trying to be bad. They're not trying to be bad.
Right.
Number one, it's hard. Mm-hmm. And number two, that's like, people make mistakes. Right. And so what people ask, like, what's the fix to this? There's no good answer. And every answer that I've seen people thrown out there as an idea of like, oh, here's what we should do, it would make things instantly worse. Instantly worse. The only thing that I could think of that would I would have to kind of suss this whole thing out, but like, the only thing that I could think of that would potentially help is you have the ability in a game, in a moment, to review whether a penalty was actually committed or not. if a flag was thrown. Right.
Okay.
But remember when the NFL did that a couple years ago and they said,
Uh-huh.
well, you can challenge pass interference now. And that was a disaster because people were just challenging pass interference every time.
All the time.
And then we slowed it down to have these instant replays.
Mhm.
And it was a complete scourge of the sport.
Mhm.
Yeah. I remember that too.
Hey, why'd this NFL game take 4 hours?
Yeah. That's why. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's
just hard.
Can we, as like the Big Ten Conference, pay to steal some like SEC officials, or
Are they better?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
The devil you know versus the devil you don't.
We talk about Big Ten officials like they're so bad compared to every other conference. I guarantee you this happens in the SEC.
Probably.
It 100% does. It's not that the Big Ten officials are just plainly worse. So they don't make a big deal out of it and they just move on.
Mhm.
We care about this stuff too. Like talking about officiating in sports and how commonplace that is in our realm today has been a horrible development for sports.
Or though,
and especially sports talk.
They're the reason behind every Nebraska loss since 1997.
They are not.
No, I heard a fan say that.
All right, we get a
Saw it on
break.
Twitter.
We'll come back. Top of the hour. Jake Eisenberg will join us on the other side. We'll get a preview on the Kansas City Royals and their postseason hopes when we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. For the first time in 9 years, the Kansas City Royals are back in the playoffs. I'm very happy about this, as I imagine our next guest is as well. Jake Eisenberg of the Kansas City Royals Radio Network joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source Hotline. Hello, Jake. Are you indeed happy about this? Can you confirm?
Hello. Can confirm. Very happy about this. Good morning from Baltimore, where it's a little bit rainy-ish. It's in the 60s, but we're going to have that outdoor October feel. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere, and oh my goodness, the Royals are in the playoffs. Yeah, this is freaking amazing.
Hey, so what do you think? I always like this, and it does remind me of when the Royals played the Orioles in the ALCS 10 years ago now. Like there was that kind of I think they played almost all of those games, and maybe not. I'm remembering. I know the clincher game 4 was played during the daytime with daylight. I like that I don't know why it has that fall, that crispness to it. The light is different. I don't know. It feels like playoff baseball to me. I like daytime starts for the playoffs. Sue me.
Yeah, look, I'll take a start time, at midnight or 2 a.m. if it means that the Royals are playing playoff baseball. I mean, there's something about a night game in the playoffs where the lights are on and people are waving the towels around that has that vibe and in the daylight it hits a little bit different. What's interesting about a 4 o'clock local start that I think hasn't necessarily been thought about until maybe we get there is that the light's going to be a little bit weird, and depending upon the cloud cover, it is supposed to be a little bit overcast, but shadows at the ballpark could play a factor, in the latter half of the game. And that could make offense, a little bit more challenging. We see those shadows at Kauffman Stadium all the time for a 3 o'clock start. Not exactly sure what it's like here in Baltimore. When the Royals were here back in April, it was pretty much rainy and overcast the entire time, so it didn't matter. That might end up being the case this week again. But if it is sunning out or there aren't that many clouds, that's something that could impact the game.
All right, Jake, 2 years with the big club now, 106 losses last year and 86 wins in a playoff appearance this year. I don't know if you combine those together in the aggregate, it's probably still not like what you want. It's still sub 500. However, you'll take the playoff appearance. How have you seen this group like just kind of, improve, whether it's incrementally, obviously make that huge jump going into this year, but what have these 2 years been like for you personally?
Yeah, pretty incredible to go from, really the lowest of lows in terms of on-field results. The Royals had a franchise record in losses just a year ago, and now they have 30 more wins and they're in the playoffs. This is just the second team in Major League history to go to the postseason after a 100-loss season, and that's excluding the short season Marlins who made the playoffs in 2020 with a 31-29 record. That doesn't count. But this kind of turnaround is just unheard of. There are also now only been 6 teams ever to have a win increase of at least 30 one year to the next. As for me, last year, even though it was 56 and 106, my first season as a Royals broadcaster, my first full season in the majors, it was a dream come true. It was a pinch me moment literally every single day. And the thing about it was that, yes, the final record reflected that the team really struggled, but the second half of the season was much, much better than the first half. And this is something that Matt Quatrero has talked to. This is something that J.J. Bigelow has talked to. This is something that we've talked about on the air. The seeds of this 2024 team were absolutely planted in August and September, especially September of last year. And we saw it. The Royals had a winning month in September of last year and finished about as strong as they could. Now, this 2024 team, it's a different cast of characters for the most part. There are so many guys that are part of this team that weren't here for 2023, which is why it's not something that was talked about all that much. Really, from spring training, they were like, that's in the past. We weren't here for this. It doesn't matter. Now, some players were. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, namely among them. Vinny Pasquantino, sort of. He was hurt very early last year. In fact, he was hurt in Baltimore last year and wound up missing most of the season. So he was there, but he wasn't as much of a part of it as he might have been had he been healthy. It's all to say that this group has both grown and also changed. And I think that's something that's important to keep in mind. The biggest difference on the field is the starting pitching. This year's starters ERA 3.55, second best in baseball, third most quality starts, 76. Last year, the Royals had 32 quality starts, fewest in baseball. They more than doubled that this year. And their starters ERA was 5.12. That was 27th best in baseball. So that's where the biggest difference in this team is. And, well, when you look at the rotation, it's easy to understand why. Now, last year, the opening day rotation was Brady Singer, Brad Keller, Chris Bubich, Zach Greinke, and Jordan Lyles in no particular order. And most of that rotation was hurt at some point throughout the year or wound up putting up, their worst statistical season in the case of Lyles and Greinke, unfortunately. And as of this year, Cole Reagans was the opening day starter. He finished the regular season with a 3.14 ERA, 8th best in the American League. Seth Lugo signed this past offseason. Came just shy of leading the majors in innings. Logan Gilbert usurped him yesterday. But Lugo threw over 200 innings and had an ERA of an even 3. That's 6th best in the American League. Michael Wacha is slated to start Game 3 if necessary. He was hurt after getting hit on the foot and fracturing his foot back in May, the end of May, missed most of June, but ultimately still made a ton of starts, threw 160 innings and put up an ERA of 3.35. That's 10th best in the American League. So that's 3 of your 5 starters in the top 10 in the AL in ERA, and those are also the 3 starters that are slated to go in this wild card series, and that's just 3. There's also Brady Singer, who had literally the largest decrease in season ERA from one year to the next of any starter in the American League. That's going from a 5.5 something ERA in 2023 to now a 3.5 something ERA this year. I don't have the number in front of me. 3.71 ERA this year. That's a massive, massive turnaround season for Brady Singer, and those are your 4 main starters. The Royals also got 25 starts out of Alec Marsh, who was pretty solid yesterday in the season finale. Michael Lorenzen comes on board. Daniel Lynch made a couple of spot starts, a couple of which were also really good, and now he's been nails out of the bullpen. That's the biggest difference with this team this year. It's the starting pitching. Their starters have given them the chance to win every single game just about this season, and that's why this Royals team is a dangerous team in the playoffs.
Well, Jake, I wondered, as we went on throughout the season, and specifically Reagans and Lugo and Waka, those guys. I mean, and throw Singer into that conversation too, especially in the first half of the season. I mean, those guys were carrying heavy innings loads because they were so good, right? They were pitching into the 6th and 7th inning of games routinely, and I sort of wondered how that would play out for them as we went on throughout the season. They've been able to keep that up consistently. Where are those guys positioned now to take everything sort of changes and the slate gets wiped clean in the playoffs, but can, they've got here because of those guys. Can they win a playoff series or multiple playoff series because of those guys?
In short, yes, because I think what we've seen as far as October baseball is concerned over the last 5 to 10 years is that you're going to win playoff games thanks to outstanding starts or an incredible bullpen that can shorten the game. And the Royals at times this year have had a very shaky bullpen, but it's a bullpen that lately has been phenomenal. Whether or not that carries over, that remains to be seen, but we've seen the starters go out and do it all season long. And when you can get a solid start from your team and you have an offense that is just good enough or timely enough or can hit a home run here or there, we see that in October too. Teams that out-homer their opponents in October win way more than they don't. That's something to keep an eye on also, given that the Royals, they did hit a couple of home runs on Sunday in the season finale, but there had been a little bit of a power outage over the last couple of weeks prior to that. Point is, though, these Royal starters are going to give this team a chance to win. And yes, they're going to go up against playoff caliber teams, but they've gone up against playoff caliber teams so far this season. And really, if you want to just look at the matchup tonight, Cole Reagans and Corbin Burns, I mean, does it get much better than that to start off a playoff series? Like, that's just
really
juicy
good
from a fan perspective. It's actually going to be the third time this season that they've gone head-to-head. They went head-to-head twice, once in Baltimore and once at Kauffman Stadium. Cole Reagans in Baltimore threw 6 1/3 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts against Corbin Burns and really outdueled him. The Royals wound up losing that game because the bullpen allowed 2 runs in the 8th and 2 runs in the 9th. But again, that was also all the way back in April. Will Smith was closing that game. He's currently on the injured list. When those two rematched later in the month of April, it wound up being Cole Reagans' worst start of the season. He got tagged for 7 runs in an inning and 2/3. The Orioles just, kind of pummeled him in the second inning, forced him to throw 49 pitches. They fouled off 17 of them. They were 6 for 11 with 2 strikes. It was kind of an approach clinic against Cole Reagans in that start. So which version do we see today? My guess is the former, because knowing Cole and understanding the way he prepares, he knows exactly what went wrong in that second start against the Orioles. And I have a feeling that he's going to go out and just dominate.
So you mentioned the bullpen, Jake. It has been really, really good now for a good stretch of time. It's maybe not what we thought it was going to be in terms of the people in it at the beginning of the season, but Lucas Erceg has been, a godsend for the Royals. Chris Bubich toward the back end of the bullpen, not exactly the guy we thought we'd be there, but he's there. And Angel Serpa has been really good in the bullpen, and Schreiber obviously as well. Those are kind of your 4 go-to guys in the back end of the bullpen right now, which has been really, really good. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was one of the warts of this team in the first couple months of the season, and they found the right guys to put the Royals in the right position at the end of games now.
Yeah, and here's the thing about bullpen. Something that I've learned kind of watching this season evolve and now watching 2 seasons of Major League Baseball up close, bullpens are pretty darn fluid with very rare exception. Like the Guardians bullpen this year, that's a rare exception where you've got 5 or 6 guys that have just thrown a ton of innings and made a ton of appearances and have been incredible all season long. That is not the norm. The norm is that the bullpen evolves. It kind of lives and breathes, and there are guys that get hurt. There are guys that come up. There's guys that come out of nowhere. That's guys that tweak some mechanics along the way and find some sort of pitch that just unlocks some nastiness. And that's kind of been what the Royals bullpen has been like this season. Think about it. At the start of the year, Will Smith and Chris Stratton were 2 of the headline guys that signed out of free agency. Unfortunately, they're both on the injured list right now and likely will not factor in the Wildcard Series. Will Smith, has thrown a couple of live DP sessions, but it's doubtful that he's going to be active for the Wildcard Series. Maybe if the Royals advance to the DS, he comes off the injured list. But again, the point is, those are 2 guys that kind of headline signing in free agency that aren't a part of this group, in its current active state. And, to your point, Lucas Erceg was an Oakland A to start the season. He's been incredible since the trade deadline. That's something that the Royals really needed, was a guy at the back end, a true flame-throwing guy at the back end, and he's done that. He's got 11 saves in 13 tries since he came over from the Oakland A's. The Royals made a couple other trades to help bolster the bullpen. Unfortunately, Hunter Harvey has been hurt really since the beginning of August and hasn't contributed much. Michael Lorenzen was starting. He's probably going to come out of the bullpen over these next few games and beyond in the postseason. And what he brings out of the bullpen is experience and leadership and, a real ability to get both righties and lefties out since he's come over from the Rangers. But that's, acquisitions. What about the guys that were in the organization that are now kind of finding their groove? Well, Angel Serpa was on the opening day roster. He kind of lost it in August, but since coming back has been really, really good, and he's running that sinker up to 99 miles an hour. John Schreiber probably was one of the more unheralded trades during the offseason. But coming over to the Red Sox, kind of giving the Royals a little bit of an edge and a little bit of a lower arm slot look. And he's been really, really good since he came off the injured list, really in the middle of August, especially in September. But he's a guy that has a little bit more experience, not postseason experience, but a little bit more experience, say, than, your quartet of lefties in Sam Long, Chris Bubich, Daniel Lynch, and Angel Serpa. Now, of those four lefties, really only one of them has, drastic splits, and that's Bubich. He's been much better against righties than he has been against lefties. But since coming off Tommy John surgery and off rehab, he's been really good. The dude just does not walk anybody. And, one of the things we talk about in postseason baseball, you can't give your opponent free bases. Runs are so at a premium that those walks can really come back to bite you. Chris Bubich has issued 2 unintentional walks all season long. All season long. Only 2. That's kind of ridiculous. So he's pounding the zone. He's getting great extension. And so that helps the fastball play up a little bit too. And he's really become comfortable in that kind of setup man-ish role. And that closed out the game on Sunday and picked up his first career save. Now, Daniel Lynch the 34th overall pick in 2018. We just talked about Bubich, the 40th overall pick in 2018. It may not be how anybody expected, 2 of the top pitchers in that draft to contribute, but lo and behold, you've got Brady Singer, Daniel Lynch, and Chris Bubich all as part of the Royals' first postseason roster since 2015. Is that not kind of what we were hoping for when all of those guys were drafted in 2018? Yeah. I think so. Kind of incredible to think about how that's come full circle. But with Lynch, he's found quite the home of the bullpen. This dude is entering the postseason with 20 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. He literally has not allowed a run in a traditional relief appearance. He's made one actual relief appearance where he's given up runs, and that was actually a bulk start against the Yankees, where there was an opener and he pitched behind Dan Altavilla as the opener against the Yankees. Every other relief outing he's had this season, including his relief debut all the way back in May against the Angels, he has not allowed a run. He's just pitching with such conviction, and the slider has been such a weapon, and the changeup that we saw last year that was much improved has stayed at that level. And I think he's really found a sense of understanding of who he is as a pitcher in a way that maybe he didn't fully embrace over the last couple of years. I think he did last year too, but he was limited because of the shoulder injuries. But I think, having been up in the big leagues now for a few years, he really kind of gets it in a way that you can't really describe statistically. And I think that's helped him shine. As for Sam Long, dude was great in spring training. Really, only reason he didn't make the team is because the Royals wanted to carry a Rule 5 draft pick in Matt Sauer, which was, a good and right decision at the time. And unfortunately, Sauer wound up getting returned. But since the end of May, when Long got called up, he's been really, really good. Another guy who, for the most part, throws strikes, has the ability to get the swing and miss, has the ability to get out both righties and lefties. And so, the bullpen, with the way it's rounded into form over the last, month or so, these guys are not only entering the season with excitement, but they're entering the postseason with a lot of confidence. Since I go back to September 6th, that was the series opener against the Twins. So it was right after the Royals finished up with the Guardians as part of that stretch. So, there was an off day on Thursday, then they opened a series against the Twins that Friday. In the final 21 games of the season, the bullpen had a 2.05 ERA. That's second best in baseball, only to Cleveland. And in that span, the strikeout rate was over 30%. The opponent's average was under 180. It was the best opponent's average in baseball. And so when you look at this Royals bullpen right now, they're doing the things that you hope an October bullpen does. Obviously, super low ERA, but in the postseason, small sample sizes, ERA is not the thing you want to look at. You want to see a super high strikeout rate. Can this bullpen get you an out without putting pressure on the defense, or heck, without allowing even a ball in play? Right now, a 30% strikeout rate over the last 3 weeks, yeah, you'll take that. Is this bullpen allowing hits? No, because the opponent's average is so low right now. Is this bullpen walking anybody? The walk rate is around 9% right now, that's overall for the season. It's a little bit closer to 8% over this recent stretch. That's, around average for bullpens over the course of this season. So you've got, over these last 20 games, one of the best strikeout rates, an average walk rate, very, very few hits allowed. That's a pretty darn good bullpen formula, especially if your starters can give you length and shorten the game on the front end, and you can turn it over to a Bubic and Urseg on the back end.
Jake, lastly, how freeing is it? I mean, you go into the postseason and it's an expanded playoff, and we saw the Diamondbacks and the Rangers in the World Series a year ago. To have this fresh slate now, where maybe there's more even pressure on some of the teams that have buys, and they get the teams that are coming in off of these wild card series. Like, for the Royals in their position, being the 5 seed, playing Baltimore, it's nothing you haven't really seen and prepared for. It's a 3-game road series. Like, I guess, how freeing is that feeling, looking at the rest of the field and saying, man, really anything could happen, especially, like I said, for a team in the Royals position?
Yeah, it's wide open. There wasn't one team that won 100 games this year. Well, there wasn't one team that dominated from start to finish. And I think that speaks to, both the parity in the game and the understanding that if you just get there, anything can happen. That's what teams saw with the Diamondbacks and the Rangers last year. Those were both wild card teams, and they both went to the World Series. Now, I'm not saying that it guarantees that a wild card team is going to go to the World Series, and I think the idea of extra rest, I think that's overblown. I think that that's kind of been an anecdotal thing that has gotten overblown a little bit. Like, yeah, if you can get the bye, you definitely want the bye and you want the extra rest, end of story. But the Royals, coming in as a wild card, making the playoffs at all, that's checked a significant box for this team. Sure, they wanted to win the division. That didn't happen. But now they're in the playoffs. And, when I look at this matchup, Royals and Orioles, just from the outside looking in, and this is not something that's coming from the clubhouse at all. This is something that's coming from the outside looking in. You have an Orioles team that went over 100 games last year, went to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, and then got swept in the ALDS. You've got an Orioles team this year that didn't win the division, that, struggled a little bit in September, but still made the playoffs very comfortably as the top wild card, and is back at home playing playoff games. They have more experience than they did last year, but they probably also feel a little bit more pressure than they did last year. And you've got a Royals team that's coming in that, for better or for worse, is kind of playing with house money. This team lost 106 games last year. Nobody thought anything like this was going to happen this year, except, frankly, the people in the clubhouse and, maybe some of us in the broadcast space. They kind of saw it percolating in late September of last year. But, the truth is, the Royals win this series, they're still going to be the Cinderella, so to speak, throughout the playoffs. They lose the series, and it's a series that, probably most people from the outside looking in are not expecting them to win for better or for worse, which is all to say that this Royals team is going to go have some fun. They're going to play hard. The boys are going to play some ball. And, Bobby Witt Jr. said it best, the other day. Now it's time for the fun to start. Like, he's been so laser focused on this from the beginning of the season. There was reporting from Andy Rogers of Mobley.com on Sunday that, Bobby Witt Jr. won the batting title this year. Like, we've been talking for 15, 20 minutes now, and we haven't talked about the fact that Bobby Witt Jr. won the batting title and just put up the greatest statistical regular season in franchise history. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. And apparently, post-game in the clubhouse on Sunday, Matt Quatrero acknowledged that he'd won the batting title in front of all the teammates to celebrate him. And then the Royals were told the travel plans to go to Baltimore, and Bobby was more excited about the travel plans than he was about winning the batting title, because he is so locked in and itching to play postseason baseball. And I think that's kind of the vibe of this entire team is the individual stuff. Yeah, that's great. We can reflect on that, in mid-November once the season is over. Right now, we're playing playoff baseball, and most of these guys are doing it for the first time. That's really cool.
Awesome stuff, Jake. Well, have a great time doing these games. I know you will. Can't wait to listen to you here on our NRG cluster of stations in Omaha, and maybe we'll get some more baseball in Kansas City coming up in the division series.
Yeah, that's the hope. Got to win the Wildcard Series first, but I know everybody with the Royals is really, really hoping to bring some playoff baseball back to Kansas City, not just for a game or two in the division series, but for many, many more games this October and the next. It's going to be a blast. Reminder that our coverage on the radio, our pregame coverage, starts about a half an hour to 40 minutes before first pitch. We're on the air at 2:30 Central Time for Game 1, 3 o'clock Central Time for Game 2. So it's either the beginning of the hour or the bottom of the hour in industry parlance, depending upon when first pitch is. But today it's 2:30, and then tomorrow it'll be 3 o'clock. And, well, probably an off day on Thursday, given how the Royals are going to come in, we hope. But it's going to be a blast, and appreciate everybody tuning in and following along and being part of this ride with us.
Appreciate you, Jake. See you later. There's Jake Eisenberg, the voice of the Kansas City Royals. 2:30, as he said, and I was not very specific, 1180 The Zone. Josh, could you give us more? So 1180 The Zone today, 1180 The Zone tomorrow, and
Yes, we'll,
if necessary, Thursday. We'll just see what happens.
Throw it up on the screen there. 2:30 start today, and Thursday, for some reason, a 3 o'clock start tomorrow.
All right.
All 3 games on 1180 The Zone.
1180 The Zone. You're home for Royals postseason baseball, at least in this Wildcard Series. And then we'll see what happens when we get to the division series. I like that, throwing that in there at the end. No Game 3. Just going to come in hot. I cannot. So a few things here, and then we'll exhaust our. Well, no guarantees, but a few things. I can't wait to see
Untether yourself.
Bobby Witt Jr. is the most exciting player in baseball. And he is in the postseason for the first time. And what Jake said, I think, was really important, which is he has been totally locked in over the last, and whatever that means for his play. But I've just noticed a change in his sort of demeanor and how he's approaching things. Obviously, it's been a bumpy September for Kansas City as well. But I just think he was really laser focused on getting here. And he's one of the best players that we have in baseball right now. I think he's going to absolutely shine during the postseason. I think he's going to have at least, he'll have a moment today and a moment tomorrow, whether it's on defense, whether it's whether it's at the plate, whether it's running the bases. Like, people are finally, going to, if you haven't been watching, you're going to realize, oh, wow, this guy is electric. And, the long conversation about the bullpen, I think, is an important one for Kansas City. It's really cleaned up here. Once again, not the guys that we thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year, but they found, I think, 4 arms or 5 arms that you can really depend on. Reagans today. Reagans is he's one of those kind of like assassin guys,
Ooh.
He's got that sort of like laser focused. He's kind of scary, when you're around him a little bit. So I can't wait to see how that plays it'll be a raucous environment. The last time the Orioles won a playoff series was that epic. Last time we won a playoff game, was that epic game against Detroit in 2014, where Delman Young hit the double down the line, and they swept the Tigers in the division series, and then they went on to the ALCS against the Royals, where they were swept. They haven't won a playoff game since. The Orioles are 0-8 in the playoffs since 2014.
Interesting.
So now there's some pressure on them. There's some expectations. They got swept out by the Rangers last year, and people they were a hot pick to go to the World Series. I think they're a hot pick again because of what they've been now for the span of a couple years after bursting onto the scene a couple years ago and having that gigantic win improvement. And now they're like, okay, we got to get something out of this now.
Right.
Not that they're in any danger of losing their young core, just as the Royals have too, with, they have Rutschman and, Jackson Holiday is going to be a part of that going forward, and Santander and all these guys, but like, they're not in any danger of that splitting up anytime soon, but the clock is sort of ticking. They want to have some success. They're just in a little bit different place. The Royals are playing with maybe a little bit of house money here. I kind of like that in a 3-game series. Reagans and Burns at 3 o'clock today. You could hear it on 1180 The Zone and watch it on ESPN2. Thank you to Jake for joining us from Baltimore. We'll be back from Nashville with Allan Bell coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Go money talk.
Here comes the money.
Allan Bell, the AB3 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we'll get Allan Bell here in just a second. Talk about the NFL. We'll also have NFL reaction, overreaction in the noon hour. Where we will once again be talking about Jaden Daniels, who has taken another step up in his play. Also, I will be shortly here. I will be chastising Allan on giving us the Tennessee Titans to watch on Monday Night Football. I know he doesn't pick who goes in the games on Monday Night Football, but I am holding him responsible for us having to watch the disaster that was last night. Or maybe I should hold Mike McDaniel responsible or to his head. I have no idea. Allan, who joins us now on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline, Allan Bell of Driving the Line. Allan, who do I hold responsible for having to watch that atrocity last night of a football game?
Yeah, well, first off, appreciate you having me back. Number two, you hold everybody responsible because you can't stop the Titans offense. I mean, this is an unstoppable force that just no, man. I like how ESPN is like, look, NFL actually is like, we got to get these bad games out of the way. Let's go doubleheader 2 weeks, and then nobody talk about it ever.
Yeah. Are you at the point where, as a Titans fan, you're like, you get yourself a little excited about Mason Rudolph? He looked exceedingly competent in comparison to his counterpart, Will Levis.
Yeah, no, I do not. I saw the Pittsburgh years. I know what Mason Rudolph. Yeah. Now look, I like Mason Rudolph, right? But it's like, what I'm interested in, I like it because now I want to see what Brian Callahan does. Yeah. Because he's not dumb, right? And it's like, look, yeah, they won. He completed 9 passes. like it was running the football. Now, the question for me is, okay, where was this offensive play calling before? Like, was Will Levis like changing plays at the line? Because Miami knew that Tennessee was just going to run the football, right? And they still did. So, yeah, I just want to see like what the next move is. You know what I mean?
I'm totally with you. I mean, I don't know if we're going to find out until he has a quarterback that could actually, operate a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, on the other side, the Dolphins are in big time trouble, and that's going to happen for the foreseeable future. So that was Monday night last night. And the other game, true or false? The Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC right now.
True.
I think it is too.
Yeah, like how I'm trying to think of any way to go against it, and I can't. Right? And what about Dan Campbell not giving the game ball to Jared Goff?
He forgot.
Night? Yeah, it's like, oh, he only went 18 for 18, and also caught a touchdown pass. Like, who did you give it to?
I don't know. He was like, I guess he did go 18 for 18. Maybe I should have given it. Who did he give it to instead? Amon-Ra? Like, I guess that would have been the only option, or David Montgomery for crazy run. I'm not sure.
I know, it's funny, but I mean, to your question, Detroit it's a good football team, man. That's a real good football.
Yeah, they're scary. I think we actually have to get, I don't know if people need adjusting in their brains, but they are probably one of the powerhouses, and I don't know, they're a legit Super Bowl contender. It's hard to pick too many out right now in the NFC where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I could see that team in the Super Bowl. And part of that is we just need more time. But you default back to the Niners, who are in big trouble from an injury perspective right now. And you look at the Vikings, who are also who are 4-0, and you say, oh, well, Sam Darnold is their quarterback. I don't know how feasible that is if Sam Darnold's going to win a Super Bowl. And then you kind of default to the Lions in that division if you're skipping past that. And I don't know. I feel like that is the team that everybody's kind of looking at right now in that conference.
Yeah, I look at it like Major League Baseball, the postseason starting today. I don't know who's going to win the World Series, but I think that anybody that's there has a shot, right? You look at the 1 seeds, the Yankees and the Dodgers. I've seen them go terrible for a month straight.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Phillies, the same deal. Anybody that's in there, they got a shot. So yeah, I'm with you.
What do you think about how has the conversation changed from I don't really know what this guy is going to be to, oh my God, is this a franchise reviver MVP candidate in Jaden Daniels, the quarterback of the Commanders?
My God. I mean, this guy just doesn't throw incomplete passes. It's incredible, man. He's awesome, and I love it for him because he seems like a good guy. Okay. Number 2, I like it for Dan Quinn because he seems like a good guy. It's a team that I didn't know that I liked that now I like. And I've never really been a Commanders /Redskins guy. There was never any appeal to me, and it's not that I'm a fan now, but I like Jaden Daniels and I like Dan Quinn. They've got me liking Cliff Kingsbury. You know what I mean? Calling plays. I don't know, man. They're just, they're fun. And Yeah, Chicago Bears fans are like, oh God,
I'm with you, man.
Mistake.
I never would have thought this, but there is really, you're right. There's some, and I guess there's something to be said for when you get fresh air and you get a new coaching staff and you get a new quarterback who people actually believe in, and it just infuses this energy into your team. But you're right. They are like really likable and fun. And I never thought I'd be saying that with the Washington Football Commanders, as I call them.
I know, right? Like, I do wish that they would have kept Washington Football Club. Like, that was a cool name. I know that the NFL was like, no, you're not going to do that. But
go ahead.
Yeah, it was good. No, I was just going to say, I liked it. It was different. It was good.
How do we read into the Ravens dismantling the Bills at the beginning of the week here? What do we do with that result, given that the Bills were so good leading into that and the Ravens were a little choppy and we weren't quite sure about them yet? Like, did that result change anything in your mind, or are you still kind of status quo on those teams?
Yeah, status quo. I think two things. Number one, this is a week-to-week league. It's a matchup league, right? Like, it's not college necessarily. Like, you can look great one week and then you have a bad matchup, just you don't look good. Number two, we were probably a little too high on Buffalo and probably a little too low on Baltimore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't say anything away. Now, how do you bounce back from it, right? Like, does Buffalo just, you just clear the air, right? Like, you just open the car windows.
Probably.
Go.
Toss it.
Yeah, But if your locker room's not good, like, those kind of things can fester. You know what I mean? But yeah, they'll be all right.
I think I'm with you on that. So you look at the slate for this week. This is the other thing too. I guess just league wide, you look at the whole picture, and it kind of goes back to our conversation with the Lions and all the other teams that'll be competing against them. Like we've had these slates in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season now. We looked at it, it's like, yeah, I just don't. Is there really any marquee matchups? What are we looking at? And that's because I think we're having difficulty finding. I mean, we have a lot of Chiefs. I mean, there's the Chiefs are on every primetime window known to man, and then you have your legacy Cowboys and Steelers and those teams who are going to be in those situations. But like, you look at the matchups, and I've looked at each of the slates before the week, and I've thought, gosh, there's just nothing that I get overly excited about. I love it because it's Sunday and it's the NFL, and something ridiculous is going to happen. But there has been a lack of matchups where I've been like, oh yeah, this is this is why I'm here.
Yeah, I'm with you. The first question that I asked, like, looking at the slate, is, are we going to have the Falcons in prime time every week?
I know.
That's what we're doing. It's just the Falcons. That's what we're doing constantly. But I can't hate on them. That Panthers-Bears stinks. That's a bad game. Look, I don't want to watch any of that. Cowboys-Steelers is going to be great. Ravens-Bengals. I like seeing teams that are in, like, must-win games, right?
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, like the Bengals have to win this game. Interesting. All right, so you got the Colts at the Jaguars, okay? So that game stinks, but there is an underlying thing. So, I mean, these are AFC South division opponents, right? They play each other twice a year. Indianapolis has not won in Jacksonville since 2014.
Nuts.
Yeah.
I saw that stat going around yesterday. I was like, is this true? It's
crazy.
They lost 9 times in a row or 8 times in a row.
Yeah, it goes back to Andrew Luck. He couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Which I wonder where he is. Like, that guy is living in the woods. He is gone.
Yeah.
He cashed that check and was gone.
That was awesome. He makes random appearance. What, did he show up on like College Game Day for a second last year? We're like, oh yeah, there he is.
Yeah, it was like the title game or something.
That's right.
Like, yeah, like I wasn't gonna put Ted Kaczynski on the guy, but like he just shows up like, out of the woods with a beard, and you're like, whoa. And well, you know what I mean? Like, respect to him though. He was like, look, I have a number. When I make this amount of money,
I'm out.
I am gone.
Yep.
Society, I'll see you later.
100%. I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, me too, man. Saints Chiefs on Monday. That's gonna be a good one.
It should be a good one too. Okay, so that's the NFL. What do you like? What do you like in the baseball playoffs as the wild card round starts today? Is there anything that you're looking at? Are you looking for chaos just like it was last year? Like, is there any overarching kind of themes here you're seeing with baseball as we head into the postseason?
Yeah. So, okay. Now, look, we were just talking about it in the sense that, like, anybody could win this. Anyone, right? But it actually is going to come down to the teams that aren't chaotic. Like the Royals, the Guardians, the Orioles, right? Like, if you can pitch and you can hit consistently, you don't have to hit, bomb after bomb after bomb. If you can score 4 runs, pitch well, you're going to win this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I like the team that scares me the most are the Cleveland Guardians. Honestly, like, this team is really good and nobody talks about them, and they can do everything very well. The Kansas City Royals can do everything very well. Same thing. I hate that they play Baltimore because, they're kind of both the same team. These chaotic teams, man, the Braves, no, they have no shot. Padres have no shot. Yeah. Yeah, what is he a big Padres guy back there?
No, he's in on the Braves. He's a huge Braves guy.
The Braves bullpen is insanity. Like, they've been doing this all year.
They have no pitchers at all. They don't even have any starting pitchers.
No, like one of us is going to be throwing by game 3.
Yeah, I've never seen a TBD starting game 1 of a playoff series. That's wild to me.
A TBD.
Yeah.
You're right.
So yeah, all right, I'm with you. Let's. I can't wait. This will be a fun 3 days of wildcard baseball as well. AB, appreciate it as always. We'll let you go. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, appreciate it, buddy. Y'all be good, man. Take care.
Allan Bell driving the line, and the AB3. So, like, baseball, and especially from a betting angle, it's just so in the postseason, and especially the new postseason, it's just so situational, right? So I do think this is one of the times where managerial stuff matters. Like, who do you value and to put the right guys in the game and to pull pitchers at the right time and to put the right guys at like matchups from that perspective. So that's where the Tigers, I think, like AJ Hinch is really good at this. Like he's done this a million times before with the Astros, although they were cheating. He's just been there a million times, and he's a really good manager. Like, that's a team that I pinpoint immediately, right away. And then you go to like the uncommon, the unknown, because of how situational it is. Like, how many times, Josh, have we seen the post? I mean, Clayton Kershaw is a great example of this. Can you pitch? Yeah, we think we can pitch. We have Clayton Kershaw, but then he's a pumpkin in the postseason.
Justin Verlander's not even on the Astros.
Justin Verlander's like, so it's about like this unspoken for, you can't really quantify it. It's about this like clutch gene, and can you come up with a hit in the right spot in the right moment? And can you get a guy out in the right moment? It's really hard to peg. And we have a 162 game sample size sport that is shortened down to 3 games that end up being the most meaningful games and decide your season and whether it's a success or not. It's just hard.
A little random.
It's hard. It's so random. It's just hard to figure out. But like, so I can only speak to the team that I watch all the time. Although, you get to watch the other teams go through, but you don't get to see them consistently. If we're looking for boxes to check, I think Quatrero has shown the ability to put the right guys. Like he's not quite from the old guard of like, I'm going to trust this guy because I have to, because I trust him, and trust is the biggest thing here. Like, you just got to put the right guys in the right situation. But the Royals do have a little bit of a clutch gene. And so I'm looking at a guy, Josh, you want one to watch that is a little off the board?
Yeah.
That'd be MJ Melendez. Is MJ Melendez going I can guarantee you that MJ Melendez will be involved in a significant sort of like win probability altering play at some point in this series. Is it positive or is it negative? He has shown more positive than negative in those circumstances.
Like, obviously your stars have to play well, but there is always that one guy that drives a team to the next round. Example, World Series MVP Jorge
Soler. Like Omaha's Connor Gillespie hitting a huge playoff home run. Like,
NLCS MVP Eddie Rosario.
right. We have a lot of example of this over time. You're like, oh yeah, he was the MVP of the championship series that week, huh? You know? Sal Frelick is on the wild card roster for the Brewers. Like Sal Frelick is going to do something in this series. So that's what the baseball playoffs are, man. We'll be back with the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
And before we get to the odd news, congratulations to Roger.
Big Raj.
The winner of $2,500 in the 25K four-quarter pick'em this week. Roger, your check will be here tomorrow.
Oh.
It'll be ready to rock tomorrow. $25,000 four-quarter pick'em is open. I always see people, and just to make it very clear, so people are like, oh, I couldn't get into the link all day. You have to, when you go to sign up and you want that early access to 1620, the email, like because you got 1620, you have to click the opt-in box. You have to opt into the stuff because that's how you get it. And I know there was a bunch of people last week who opted into the email, but they didn't check the box. They didn't check the opt-in box. Mm-hmm. You got to check the box. There has to be a guarantee on the box. So get your picks in for this week. It should be open for everybody now. It is officially open. $25,000 four-quarter pick'em, 1620thezone.com. Office-wide standings. It is the duo of myself and Nick Grimm.
Hello.
At the top, 22-7 through the first 3 weeks. Josh, what do we got today?
We begin with NBA Media Day.
Oh, great. Jimmy Butler, what was he doing?
Well, Jimmy Butler missed his flight, so he was late arriving to Miami's Media Day, so he didn't have time to get his bit together. And he framed that as, I'm here, I'm focused, no haircut. No.
Same old Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Maybe if you took Media Day a little less seriously and the regular season a little more seriously.
Nice, Josh.
You would win quite literally anything in your career. but you practice really hard, and that's important.
Yeah.
Uh,
He beat the whole Timberwolves
yeah.
that one time.
we go to Portland, where Scoot Henderson, the number 2 pick of the 2023 NBA draft, the highly touted G League product, I'm told, failed to fill the sizable shoes left behind by Damian Lillard. He took the podium for the Blazers Media Day yesterday, and one of the primary topics of conversation figured to be what he learned during his rookie campaign. And when asked about that, he gave the following response, quote, I look back at the good food that I had. Yeah, a lot of food. And you know what I learned from it? Thinking about all the games every night.
That's my guy, man. That's all I could ever think of. Like, I love the idea of being a high level athlete. That sounds awesome. But think about the treatment that they get. Think about the food that they get, the hotels, the flying. Like, I would never get over that.
It's literally in their contracts. The visiting team, when they're traveling, has to stay in a 5-star hotel or resort.
I just give me a week and I would never shut up about it. Would never shut up about it.
Now, this caused many social media users to ask, and maybe unfairly, whether or not Scoot was zooted. Many people said the
he's not zooted.
Zooted.
He's not zooted. He just likes food.
Yeah, he's just a young adult.
By the way, Portland, the roster, they are rostering 2 former Nebraska basketball players, Delano Banton and Bruce McGowan's.
I knew Delano was on there. He was getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of points.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if you're a fantasy basketball player and you're like, who's a guy that nobody knows about?
Delano Banton.
That's your secret right there.
Yeah, they're going to suck.
Yeah, well, yes, also. Let's see. No, I want to save that one for the end. Earth's moon has changed.
Oh, really?
Connor.
What is it now?
Well, an asteroid the size of a school bus, 33 feet roughly, whizzed by the Earth on Sunday, and it has gotten trapped in the Earth's gravity. So it will now orbit the globe for the next 2 months.
Wow.
Before it can get spat out and back on
just floating around
whatever path it's on. Yeah.
And what has this done to the moon?
We now have 2 moons.
Oh, 2 moons.
2 moons for the next 2 months. The space
Twilight 2 moons.
That's right. 2 hot moons.
2 hot moons.
2024 PT5 is the name of this.
Oh, that's not as cool as Moon.
Right. Was first spotted
in Moon 2 Tune.
Electric Boogaloo. Spotted in August by astronomers at Complutense, I butchered that, I bet, University of Madrid, using a powerful telescope located in South Africa. These short-lived mini moons are likely more common than we realize, but this one happens to be one of the larger ones that we ever get the opportunity to see, because you can see it. It won't be visible to the naked eye or through amateur telescopes because it's only 33 feet long, but it can be observed with relatively large research-grade telescopes, which we all have at our homes.
Yeah.
So this is definitely
relatively large research-grade telescopes.
This is definitely worth putting fear into the public about what may or may not be whizzing by the planet at any given time.
By the way, Josh, we're going to have to hold your last story. So we'll get to, trust me, we'll get to it on the other side. We just have to take a break here.
It's not great.
Okay, or we don't have to. But I have seen the video, thanks to Platcat, of Scoot. It's possible that he was zooted. I'll just say it's possible.
The eyes were red.
He had a smile.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are back after this. We'll see if Josh wants to give us our final odd news story. On the other side, the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Sauerkraut emergency.
Those happen all the
The
time.
sauerkraut emergency, Josh.
You're prepared for it.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Josh wanted to save the last story for last. Is it important that we talk about the story?
I will read you the headline, and
All right.
then I think we should discuss whether or not we go forward.
Okay.
I think I know the answer, though.
YouTubers, you tell us too.
Drunk man picks fight with a python in the street, and it ends how you'd expect.
Yes, I'd like to go forward.
Don't do it just for me. If you want to, if you don't think it's good, we can skip it. That's fine. It's noon. We haven't talked about the Huskers yet.
Well, we'll talk about the Huskers. We have plenty of time to talk about the Huskers.
Okay.
Why do you talk about the Huskers?
What time do the girls
talk about the Huskers? I wish someone would call in one time and say, talk about the guy getting in a fight with the python again. How did I expect it, Josh? I guess I would expect the man to lose the fight to
That's
the python.
correct, Connor.
Okay.
A 6.5 foot long snake. I don't have a location on this story. I'm gonna guess it's nowhere near here.
Crime Town, maybe.
The fire department had to intervene to save the man from the python's killer grip. Authorities said he wasn't able to communicate how he ended up in its clutches as he was too drunk. His pals said he came across the 6.5 foot long snake on his way home from their local pub. See, that's a giveaway that it's not from around here. Pub. Feeling emboldened, the inebriated gentleman decided to tease the large python in front of his friends. Why was there just a python in the street? That's my thing, but whatever.
See, but like, if you were drunk, would you tease a python?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm drunk.
You like little python?
I have no
You're not
control
gonna
of my
you're
faculties.
not going to do anything to be python.
Little gardener snake.
You're doing like the too little thing to him. You're going like, I'm not. Even if I'm drunk, I'm probably like, I'm not going to mess with that python.
Poll question going up at Happer Show. If you were drunk, would you tease a python?
If you're drunk, would you tease a python? But I'm not much of a, I'm not a guy who, I get drunk all of a sudden, I want to start fighting things.
However, the reptile got the better of him and held him in its death grip, forcing his friends to call the fire department.
Sure.
Good job. I wouldn't know who to call. Firefighters arrived on the scene. Just north of Hong Kong before the animal had squeezed the victim to death. Oh, he died. Huh.
Well, this isn't so funny anymore.
Less funny. Usually not funny when the person dies.
Usually Josh doesn't include the story if there's a death.
That's right. They used catch poles to seize the snake and force it to loosen its grip. Footage shows the victim trying to move on the ground as the snake coils himself around the man's body. Firefighters are then seen.
So he's dead.
Yeah. Capturing.
A man has died.
Stuffing a reptile into a sack. Well, he wanted the fight, and the python brought the fight to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's dead now, though. So, Josh, way to go.
Yeah.
Want me to cheer you up?
I would love to.
The Royals have won 8 out of their last 9 playoff series.
Whoa.
Dating back to the 1985 ALCS. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? They're
I
very good in the playoffs.
They
don't get to the playoffs very much, but when they're that, I gotta be honest. So this is a good sports debate. Actually, we won't talk about the Royals for that long. Although we just did almost a whole hour on them. The team we always offer up these ideas. Would you rather be the team that makes it every year and then gets your heart ripped out, but you're in it every year and you're competitive and you have great summers?
Braves in the 90s.
Or would you rather be the team that usually sucks, but when they're good, they go all the way and they give you just a great month, aka basically the Marlins and maybe the Royals. Those are the only options that we have in this category. The option on the other side is just the Twins.
Breaking news out of Atlanta.
Sans this year.
Chris Sale is not on the wild card roster.
Yeah, I told you, Josh. You seem to be you seem like, oh, he's going to get the needle and he'll be fine.
I thought they were going to jack him up and be like, okay, you good to go
No,
now
dude.
that meaningless game.
They would have pitched him yesterday.
Nah, they didn't need to waste that bullet.
They would have pitched him yesterday.
No word on who the starter is.
Which team do you want to be the team that is good all the time and never wins, or is bad all the time and wins once every 30 years? At least they win. I got to tell you, and maybe I was just born at the right time.
Do you recommend it?
I kind of do. I kind of think this is a great experience.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to complain when they lose 100 games, after this run is over. Maybe there's some. Well, I shouldn't try to trick myself into thinking that they're just going to be around forever because they have Bobby Witt Jr., but they've never signed a player to that long of a contract before, or that big of a contract. So that'll be good. And we'll see how long they're able to extend this run, quote unquote, because of him. But during the times in which they lost, I was still like, yeah, but I had the two best months of my life in October of 2014 and October of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody could tell me nothing during those times. And so we'll see after these 3 games if anybody could tell me anything after today. But I got to tell you, it's a great experience. It's a great experience.
I'd like someone to tell me who's starting for the Braves today.
If you would have asked me in 2019, and the Royals are just, there's no sign of them ever getting out of the hole that they're in, I'd have been like, yeah, this is a miserable experience. They lose every game all the time. They're never going to be good again. Mm-hmm. But right now, it's a different story.
I've seen the Braves win 2 World Series.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not offering you that. I'm offering you the ability to be it's basically the Twins. It's what amounts to the Twins.
I don't want that. That seems miserable.
I agree.
Being a Twins fan.
I agree. They're pretty much good every year, but they never make the playoffs, and their ownership doesn't spend any money.
Yeah.
I
don't want that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's talk some Husker football. Why don't we, Josh?
Some scars.
Yeah, go talk about the Huskers.
Scars and gars.
All right, Matt Rule, liar.
Whoa.
Yep. Big liar.
Coming out hot, Connor.
Matt Rule, liar. By the way, did you see? So remember last week when he did his thing on Thursday and he said that John Hull has a big leg? And we're like, you did too many bigs there.
Who are you trying to convince, Matt? Us or you?
So did you see the clip the Nebraska on BTN tweeted out on, it must have been yesterday. And it was a clip from him going into halftime, I think, of the Purdue game. And, he gets kind of emotional during games and after games. When you get him in those situations, he'll just say some stuff, right? But he goes, yeah, we had some tough calls in the first.
He gets stuck in a loop.
But when he says the same word, remember last year when he said, it's painful. So we just, whenever he says a word over and over and over again, we need to make note of it because he's either trying to really drive a point home and he's being sarcastic about it, or he's trying to convince you of something that does not exist. He's lying to you. There's something in there. It's kind of his tell. It's kind of like when Teddy KGB opens up the Oreos, which, by the way, what an obvious tell. How was that not figured out before by Mike McD? Should have been. There's no way that Teddy KGB was doing that for years and years and years, and nobody figured that out until all of a sudden Mike McD got him in the biggest poker game of his life when he was back up against the wall and he was untethered. No way. Josh, why are you not responding to my movie references? This is weird.
Do
you understand them?
I do.
Okay.
I enjoy them, and any other day I'd be right there with you, but I'm desperately seeking a starter for the Atlanta Braves right now.
They're not going to announce it. There's going to be
not announce
Yes, you can. There's just going to be a guy out there at the start of the game. Get ready.
It's going to be Bryce Elder or AJ Smith-Shawver.
Those aren't people. Those aren't.
One of them was an all-star last year.
Those aren't people. I like the sticker yesterday. He goes, maybe it'll be Maybe it'll be somebody. Maybe we'll call somebody up from the minor leagues. I don't know. It's a playoff game.
It's playoff game 1, and you have no available arm.
But Fried would go game 2 because he pitched on Friday against the Royals.
Yes.
All right, so you're okay. It's all right. All right, so Matt Rule said yesterday that Rutgers doesn't allow explosive plays.
I'm glad you seized on this.
So Matt Rule says some things sometimes, and I know what he's getting at, and what he said right after that was, well, Shiano, that's what they do. They don't allow explosive plays. Rutgers this year has allowed 55 plays of 10 plus yards, 29 of those via the pass. That's good for 58th in the nation. They've also allowed 14 20 plus yard plays, eight of those against the pass as well. Also consider the opponents that they've played this year, of which have been doo-doo, and they haven't played anybody, right? This is not a me tearing Rutgers down segment, but I want you to factor that into the numbers. That has to be a factor. They've played, Josh, name me the Rutgers opponents. Howard,
Akron,
Virginia Tech and Washington.
Correct.
Right? Virginia Tech has a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Washington probably has a pulse. Washington. The other two, no pulse. They're dead. All right. And so it's not like they're horrible in this explosive plays category. And I don't bring up this segment just to point out the fact that Matt Rule
lied,
is a liar, but he does sometimes say things to, I think, motivate his team. And we talked about this again last week. Like, sometimes he says stuff to his team that he wants them to be aware of and he wants them to be focused on. That's why these press conferences happen. I also bring this up to say this. Nebraska, as a team, is looking a little explosive on offense. Rule talked about this yesterday. He was asked, well, is there anything that's kind of surprised you? He said, I didn't think we'd be as explosive as we are.
Sort of lull you to sleep, and then bam.
And it hasn't been in the run game. It's been in the pass game. Nebraska, 10 plus yard plays, has 77 of them this year. 56 of those 10 plus yard plays have been via the pass. Nebraska in 20 plus yard plays, and 10 is not explosive in the pass game. 20 would count, though, as a chunk play in the pass game. Nebraska, of 20 plus yard plays, they have had 23 so far of them this year, and 17 of them in the pass game. So once again, this is all centered around young Dylon. It's centered around Dylan Raiola. He is giving them, and I think that's his way of saying, like, Dylan is like even better than they expected him to be, because what they're saying is, look, we have been explosive in the pass game, and we've also made the right decisions in the pass game. And because of that, that should open up some of the things we do in the run game as well. So, I mean, I think that's another way of saying exactly that. Dylan Raiola has been really, really good this year, and probably better than expected, even though he was asked that exact question. He was like, yeah, I just think we've probably been a little bit more explosive. This is an area where Nebraska can make some hay, I think, against Rutgers. I think you could kind of, like, I think there will be parts of this game that will seem, I don't know how people are framing this up. By the way, yes, I do want to talk about this game on a Tuesday. I don't know how people are framing this game up, but maybe you're thinking, oh, these are two teams that, they want to play defense. They're going to drag you into the mud, and it's going to be the fourth quarter. Rutgers doesn't have very good quarterback play, and, they have a really good running back. And so let's just, drag and drag and drag and drag. And I do think Nebraska can hang around in that game. It'll be interesting to see how they approach it right out of the gate, because I do think, and Rutgers is good against the run. I think you can kind of get going on them in the pass game a little bit. Now, the hard numbers aren't necessarily a great, a great statistic especially around this time of the year, just because, I mean, you never know what kind of offense. It lacks context, right? Rutgers is 98th in the country in rush defense at the moment, giving up 172 yards a game. There's 36th in the country in pass defense, giving up 179 yards a game. But once again, it lacks context with the teams that they've played so far this year. They don't turn you over. They've only gained 5 turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. That ranks 81st in the country. It ranks 13th in the Big Ten. So they are a kind of keep it in front of you defense, which means Nebraska, with their explosiveness on offense, I think can really make some plays. And I'm talking about vertically here in the pass game. Like, I think there's a real area there. So I know Nebraska will try to run the football and establish themselves. And they want to do the thing with Dowdell where he kind of, body shots him early and all that stuff. And then hit him with Emmett Johnson, the kind of closer in the fourth quarter. And they'll still have that kind of working. But I do think if you want to throw a punch right away, you can get him in the pass game. And that'll be it'll be interesting to see how far down Nebraska, Matt Rule, Marcus Satterfield pushes down in the gas pedal, like right out of the gate, because I think you could throw a big haymaker right out of the way, or you can get drug in the mud with them. Mm-hmm. You could do that too. So once again, I don't know how people are looking at this game, but I do think there's like many avenues to Nebraska not only winning it, but playing a good game on Saturday as well.
Watching the Washington game against Rutgers Friday, I said to myself, yeah, Nebraska could do this, what Washington was doing to Rutgers. I mean, the game's either going to be a rock fight or sort of not a shootout, but a surprisingly offensive game. And
well, I think Nebraska, I think Rutgers is best served to drag people into the mud with them.
Right. So Nebraska would want the high octane offense game.
Not necessarily, because I think they prefer to play the way that Rutgers kind of wants to play as well.
I think that's how they want to play, but I don't know if that's the best way for them to play.
But the idea is, let's take you deep. Let's take you into the deep water, and let's go into the third and fourth quarter, and then we'll put everything on Dylon's shoulders. We'll put everything on his plate. Frankly, I like it.
The Illinois game plan.
I don't know. They kind of just threw it around in that game.
Yeah. Just trying to see how it's going to go. It's Tuesday. I'm ready.
That's what I think. Like I think there's multiple ways to beat them in this game. Then I was thinking about it yesterday. Because people have problems with Nebraska's run game and what they've.
I do, yes.
By the way, I'm reminded via text right now that the total for this game is 41.
Low.
That is a relatively low number. Yeah. Well, I think Nebraska could go with them. I think they could go over kind of that number. Not by them. Well, maybe by themselves, but that would be quite the accomplishment.
That would be
fun.
What
I'm saying? Like
I'd watch.
So we'll see which way Nebraska sort of tries to approach it. Now, the other thing I was thinking about, people have problems with Nebraska's run game, and they can't run it conventionally, and we have all this consternation about it. But you have a quarterback, and you decided against Purdue that your way of sort of supplementing that conventional run game was going to be with Ja'Cory Barney on these end arounds. And I was thinking about so people like to look at it in simple terms, and they like to say, well, Nebraska can't run the ball, period, because Nebraska doesn't have an offensive line, period. And they don't trust their offensive line, period. Like, we say all these things really definitively about the team. But I was thinking about how teams have been defending them. And anecdotally, I don't know this for sure. And I was trying to find numbers on this, but I just don't know if they're particularly trustworthy. So I was thinking about it just anecdotally, thinking back to the games that they've played and sort of the looks that they've faced. It feels to me that how teams are choosing to defend Nebraska at the moment is to not necessarily load up against the run, but decide we have to stop the run first. And we will take our chances in the secondary look at what Purdue did. Purdue is like, we're not going to let them get anything going in the conventional run game, and then they're going to try and throw it downfield, and we're just going to pass interference them all day long, right?
And Purdue's run defense is terrible.
Soon enough, I think teams are going to kind of figure out, maybe it'll be more of a decision or more of a conversation in those rooms leading into the week. And the conversation goes like, okay, which poison do we want to pick on Nebraska?
Right.
Do we want to let Dylan Raiola just sit back there? Because he had all day to throw on Saturday.
All day.
Do we want to do we want to sit back? Do we want him to sit back there and just let him pick us apart in the pass game? Do we want to keep taking our chances with that? Or like, do we have to defend him a little bit more straight up and then Nebraska gets better in the run game? Like, basically what I was wondering was, has Nebraska been deficient in the conventional run game because of the way that they're being defended? And the answer is a simple, like, yes, because the way that you're defended has an effect on everything. But I want people to keep that in mind when they talk about how Nebraska definitively can't do this and they can't do this and they can't do this.
Okay.
Like, every game is a game, right? Every game is its own thing.
Didn't need to do it today.
Right.
So we did.
So, like, if I'm not a bright young defensive mind, Josh.
I don't know about that.
But
don't sell yourself short.
If it comes down to the question of like, which poison do I want to pick? Frankly, it's not the one where the ball's in Dylan Raiola's hands. He's sitting back there all day, and his receivers can either go down the field and make plays, or the receivers can just I think that I'd rather bottle that up.
Yeah,
at the moment, but
I'm going to make you run it on.
That has not been the way that Nebraska has been defended so far this year.
Right.
And so I wonder if there's a change in that, or a shift or an adjustment in that going forward. But I do think low key here, Nebraska kind of has a lot of answers on offense, and guess why? It's number 15. It's a guy that looks like Mahomes.
Sure.
That they're chanting, you're not Patrick.
Have you heard? He looks like Patrick.
They got a lot of answers here, man. Like, and I do think their offensive coordinator has been willing to go in his bag a little bit and, take advantage of space. Like, they're pretty. What's the word? They're pretty like proficient, or they're proficient enough, I should say, in just about every area where if teams are making adjustments, hey, we're going to bring the splits up. We're going to bring the splits up the middle. Okay, we'll go screen, and we'll get guys moving in the middle of the field. Oh, okay, they can't set the edge. We'll go end around, like I think they have a lot of answers to everything. And it's really because of their personnel. I mean, their quarterback is a constantly good decision maker, and they have some threats on the edges, and I think they're good enough in the run game. But if there is a deficiency, it's probably at that running back position specifically, and I'm going to make them see if they can make the right decision. That's just me. But I wonder how that looks going forward, and I wonder how Rutgers sort of schemes it up.
Eventually, someone's going to do that, right? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. They're going to sit back in the backfield and just kind of wait and not load the box and see if Nebraska can crease one in the run game, or how soon they figure out they want to do that. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's what teams were doing against Patrick Mahomes for a long time. Was I dare you to run? I dare you to run it on us.
That's the thing. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about the Chiefs and NFL reaction overreaction coming up in a second. But like, it's got to the point with them where it doesn't really matter what teams do to them anymore, and it doesn't matter how many guys they lose. They somewhere along the way, the Chiefs found out how to win football games. Right. It's not like, oh, we want to do this and we want to do this and we have to do this to get to this, and it has to be to this player, whatever. Like, somewhere along the way, they got really good at winning football games. And I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think if Nebraska becomes that type of team, they're not going to win every game. They're not going to win as much as the Chiefs. They're not going to win the Super Bowl of college football, but Marcus Satterfield probably does, he deserves a lot of credit, along with having the best quarterback in the conference and, whatever beyond that. But I'm intrigued to see how that sort of looks going forward. Hayden writes in.
Hi, Hayden.
Hayden says on the text line, I don't have problems with the run game when Emmett Johnson is in. Yeah, well, I have, once again, a bit of an untrained eye. Do I or do I not know ball? I have no idea. But it does appear that Dowdell leaves some things out there. It does appear that... Now,
that's been the discourse this week.
Do you or do you not understand what Rule was getting to? Yes, this is not to you specifically, Josh, but just to everybody. But Josh, you should respond.
Good. I hate high-pressure situations.
Do you or do you not understand what Rule was trying to say yesterday? Where he said, like, basically the question came up with Emma Johnson. Does Emma Johnson deserve more carries? Like, yeah, we want to get Emma Johnson more carries, but we like our situation right now. We like what Dowdell gives us. And then, I'm paraphrasing all this, and Emma Johnson can come in the game and give us a change of pace and be the quote-unquote closer. Because I know people see Emma Johnson and they say, oh, put him in, give him 25 carries, and he's going to be the same guy and just carry it over to 25 carries instead of 8. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I totally get what Rule's saying. I totally understand what Rule's saying, but what he's trying to tell you is the first half is going to be hard. The first half is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's just things that we have to establish to get to where we want to be in the third and the fourth quarter. And I think that's a tough pill for people to swallow. It's a gigantic pill, and it doesn't go down the throat easy.
You got to wait for you got horse tranks on the brain.
You got to throw it back. Yep.
Yeah. You got to wait for the knockout punch.
I don't think people like hearing that
No.
because they look at Emma Johnson and they say, oh, that guy's easily the most efficient back that we have. Why not give him 25 carries? He's going to be the same guy, copy and paste it, 25 carries, and he's got 130 yards.
It's different.
It is different. And I believe him when he says, hey, man,
Mm-hmm.
I think Dowdell leaves a lot out there, but at the same time, what he does in the body blows category, I think is a pretty big deal for what they're trying to get established and what they're trying to do in the second half. And you're already proficient in making the right decisions in the passing game. So, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have problems with the run game when Dowdell is in the game, but understand that it's kind of a part of the plan.
The thing you want them to do watching the game is different than the thing Matt Rule is trying to accomplish.
Yeah, he's playing the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Even in an individual game, he's playing the long game. And that's hard. Like that's hard because we watch play-by-play and series by series and we say, oh, that was a disaster. It's hard. I totally understand the skepticism from that perspective.
I get where it's coming from.
Nathan in Iowa writes in.
Hi, Nathan in Iowa.
I think it'd be real funny if Rule's next press conference, he says, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar. And then we'd really know he's always listening to the Happer show. That'd be great. I would love him to do that.
Would love it.
Yeah, that'd be a great deal for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll come back. It's time for some NFL reaction, overreaction. Looking back at the weekend, maybe not much on last night.
What?
Josh, I'm sorry. Your Titans jersey didn't make me think differently about the Titans.
You saw them win for the first time this year, right?
I did.
You saw their coach.
I saw them win against somebody.
Just since we're not going to talk about it, just one take. Give me like 12 seconds.
Go, Josh.
Mike McD always looks stoned out of his gourd on the sideline. We should look into that.
I think he's just that kind of guy. I
yeah.
think he's just like, oh, damn, this sucks. I think he's got some perspective, He's been through some things in his life.
I'd like to not be standing right here, right now.
This week's half-off deal is with Scary Acres, now open for the 2024 season. Is October, after all. 3 haunted attractions, the Master's Castle, the House on the Hill, and the Haunted Woods. You can listen to Unsportsmanlike Conduct every afternoon this week to win 2 super combo passes that get you into all 3 of the aforementioned attractions. The zone deal, which is to Scary Acres this week, goes live at 9:00 on Friday morning. Half off. Details under the deals tab at 1620thezone.com.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Josh, I haven't been on what's going on out there today on Twitter, outside of everybody moving conferences again.
Oh, you got to get online, Connor.
Yeah, I'm just...
It's where the future is.
My brain has been thinking about other things today.
Sure.
Not on the internet today. What's going on over there?
Well, in the midst of looking for a Braves starter, I have stumbled into the latest media beef.
Oh.
This one between two friends of the show.
Two friends of the show.
That's right.
Two hot coffees.
Two hot friends. Brett McMurphy
Yes.
and Nicole Auerbach.
And what are they fighting about?
Gonzaga going to the Pac-12, which Brett McMurphy said would happen on 9/23 at 2:05 p.m.
Yeah.
To which Nicole Auerbach that day said, "This reporting is inaccurate. This is not happening. They have been talking, but it is not finalized."
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of those old things, like, you know, what's actually the accurate report? That Gonzaga is leaving the West Coast Conference to join the Pac-12, or, well, they haven't done it yet, so it's not final.
Yeah, but like if you're Brett McMurphy and you feel like you have enough information to report, it's not like you're guessing.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you have enough information to report it, then you're going to report it. And if you're Nicole Auerbach, you're saying I don't have enough information to report it, and so I'm not going to report it, and the other report is inaccurate because I believe that my report is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Which report is accurate? It's not whichever one ends up becoming true. They're both accurate because they're reports.
Yeah. So
we always keep score on these things. It's so stupid.
Oh, Brett McMurphy's keeping score as well because he retweeted Nicole Auerbach's dismissal of the initial report, to which she responded.
Oh, good.
Let's get it to load up. It's important to be both accurate and precise in reporting news. And to which Brett McMurphy retweeted that and said, "Is Mel Tucker's firing official yet?" He has not officially been fired by Michigan State, but he no longer works there. He's not the coach of the team or anything like that. And Nicole Auerbach said, "Why don't you just go back to wishing football coaches a happy birthday and move on?"
Okay, this is good.
And then
I mean, this is not good. This is stupid.
No, this
but
is
like,
stupid.
Good comeback.
She then said, "Reliable journalism is this and that and that." And then the spicier tweet after that was, "Now I'll go back to ignoring the person I have muted on this app. I'm sure he'll keep talking about me behind my back, though."
Okay.
That's something he actually does reliably.
She took it too far.
A little bit.
She had an extra tweet in there. She could have just left it at the wishing the coaches the happy birthday thing and left it alone. And then now it's clear that he's in her head and she's thinking about it. Just no more tweets after that.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is all fake and it's on Twitter. So
you got to know when to stop. You got to know when to. Okay, I think I've won here.
Or not, or you just leave it.
Yeah.
Whatever says, "Hey, I'm the bigger man" at the end of this thing. By the way, Josh, thoughts on this tweet? Speaking of things that are fake, I was talking about the big pill that you have to swallow earlier.
Big pill.
Fremont Fred writes in,
"Careful.
It's not a pill. It's more like what Vince McMahon has said. Sometimes you have to go eat the pile of bleep." Josh, your thoughts on that tweet?
Generally, just good rule of thumb here. You don't want to be doing things exactly the way Vince McMahon did them. Granted, very successful.
We're not allowed to quote Vince McMahon anymore.
I don't think it's a great look. Now, you do with your brand whatever you want.
What do you mean my brand? I'm not trying to do it. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm not trying to do anything.
Don't act like Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Just
no. Great advice.
Okay.
Great advice.
Okay. It felt like we were confused there for a minute. Just want to be crystal clear on that. I don't want to watch a 6-part docuseries on the fall of the Connor Happer empire.
No, I don't either. I'd be curious to see how they would get 6 parts out of it, though. Much like I am
it's a
on most
docuseries.
documentaries.
Yes, they can get
Yeah.
6 parts out of anything.
All right, NFL reaction, overreaction.
Yeah.
Let's we get some topics here from the writers. Writers, what are they cooking today, Josh? Anything good?
Oh, they're cooking. They're always cooking. I don't know if it's good. They're writers, after all. Take number 1.
Wow.
Jaden Daniels, who is off to one of the best rookie QB starts ever, will be in the MVP conversation.
Jaden Daniels, over his first 4 games in the NFL.
4.
This is from Bill Barnwell's story on ESPN yesterday. Has amassed a 73.5 QBR. With QBR data going back through the 2007 season, the only passers to top that across their first 4 starts are, speaking of people to not be like, Deshaun Watson.
Don't be like him.
Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy. Now, we can agree, Josh, that each of those 3 players, football players, had great starts to their careers. Yes? Okay. So he's in elite company already as far as starts are concerned. I want to throw in some more context. Jaden Daniels' best receiver is probably Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is probably the happiest person on earth right now.
Who?
Terry McLaurin?
Terry McCauley?
No, not the officials. And Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin. His leading receiver on Sunday was a man who was, I believe, the either 5th or 6th option for the Eagles over the last couple of years. Olamide Zaccheaus.
Sure.
He is also completing 82% of his passes, which is best in the NFL by quite a wide margin so far.
I imagine so.
At a certain point in the NFL, when you're a rookie, you stop being a rookie and you're just in the mix with the best players in the league. Like that adjustment comes quick. In baseball, we have this ramp up, right? Rookie year, nice, go through a whole season. Second year, okay, he's coming. Then by like the 3rd, 4th, 5th year, you're into your prime. In the NFL, you're a rookie. NBA, same thing, right? There's a slow burn.
Right.
Okay, by the time you're 27, maybe you could be the best player, the second best player on a championship team. By the time you're 30, you could be the best player on a championship team. And then it's over. In the NFL, you're in your prime right away. So I think we need to treat these guys that way. And Jaden Daniels has been one of the best players in the NFL this year. So, yeah, I think he deserves to be in that conversation.
So I just looked this up because if you've watched the NFL this year, Connor, I don't know if you've watched the NFL this
I've seen
year,
some things.
You've noticed that, boy, the deep ball isn't part of the game much.
That's right.
Anymore.
But it's not like his air yards are 0. It's not like they're letting him do nothing.
I believe this is from just Sunday's game. This is not his season. His average air yards per attempt was 10.2. That's way better than I thought it was going to be when I went looking for this number.
They're not babying him.
Uh-huh.
That's for sure.
But 2 things: the league tends to catch up to quote unquote rookie quarterbacks like this, and also Cliff Kingsbury.
You don't trust him?
I want to.
People seem to like Cliff.
I like him. I want to trust him. I'm jealous of a guy who can just go to Thailand.
How many air yards is it when you throw the ball into outer space and it drops into a receiver's hands for a touchdown? Like he did that one Monday night.
I believe in the stat sheet it just goes down as X.
Okay.
Or that
what if he hits it?
Infinity symbol.
What if it hits the second moon?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man, put him in there. Sure. He's been just as good as anybody else so far this year, especially with the dearth of quarterback play in the NFL right now.
I think it's probably an overreaction, but it's a nice story, and he seems to be doing quite well for himself given the lack of weapons around him.
Okay, we'll see what you think in a couple weeks here.
Okay,
because that team is probably going to win that division.
I think they might. If that was the question, I would tell you that that's a proper reaction. Yeah. Here we go again. The 4-0 Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble.
So no crazy guy Pacheco at running back.
That's right.
No Rashee Rice.
Yeah, no, probably
no Hollywood Brown.
No.
Travis Kelce's old and fat.
Mm-hmm. These are facts.
So you're dealing with the white running back and Samaje Perine.
Whoa.
What?
I don't know what color any.
His name is Carson. Okay.
His family held a wedding on a Sunday.
So there's nobody back there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, somewhere along the way, they have just found a way to win football games. That's really good coaching. I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit. And obviously, Mahomes is in a place where you feel like he could just do it with just about anybody else around him. They are 4-0. And if you watch that, because I follow all these Royals people and they always are tweeting about the Chiefs during the game.
That's right.
You would think that they have not won a game in 10 years. It's like, this is not good. This is very bad. It's going down the hill fast. Finally, the end of the run is right now. I mean, they're in a league where right now we don't have a definitive best team. I think you still, and they'll get healthier, default to the Kansas City Chiefs, even without the weapons that they're missing right now. I just I do not think they're in trouble. I do not think they're in trouble.
So
it's an overreaction.
I assume their payroll is kind of a nightmarish hellscape.
Sure.
And there might not be a savior coming in the free agency market or a trade that can be made. I'm just going to assume that.
Okay.
They're still the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They still got 15.
Yeah, I just say doubt them at your own peril.
It feels really early to start doing this is the end of the road for Tom Brady and the New England Patriots.
Their problems are different every year, and they always overcome them or mask them by the fact that they have the best coach in the league and the best quarterback in the league. Period. That's it. Their problems are different every single year. They're always missing this and they're always missing that. But guess what? They have those two. Mm-hmm. And then you build around that and you figure it out. They figure out how to win. Like they win. This is the reason why they're so cool. Like they win the game. They win the individual game, right? They don't win because like they have the best offense and the most playmakers and all. Like they win the games. I'm trying to think of a better way to say it, but like they play the games that they play and they find a way to win those games.
That 60 minutes is all that matters.
Right.
Next week doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Now, do I think they could go on a stretch where they lose like 3 of 5 because they haven't figured it out yet and then snap out of it and figure it out? Yes,
sure.
I do.
Sure.
It's a long season.
We got to go quick here. Couple more.
The Ravens reestablished themselves as a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I
think Allan said it perfect. We were probably a little too high on the Bills, a little too low on the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those two play again.
What was the score? 42-10 or 35-10? I don't think that's probably representative of the gap between those two teams right now.
35-10.
It started with an 88-yard run. You know, they got moving and took off against the Bills for that reason. But like I think they were probably in that conversation anyway, and they remain in that conversation. So yes, they reestablished themselves. It's a good way to put it. Not an overreaction.
And finally, the Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I actually think this is right. I trust them the most.
Does it still feel weird?
Here's your options. Seattle, we'll start in the West. Seattle, San Francisco. San Francisco's beat up.
Don't trust them. Detroit just beat Seattle last night.
Right. And not that Seattle's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So they're in the mix.
Mm-hmm. I keep waiting for Geno Smith to turn into a pumpkin, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans. Like they can all win games.
I trust Tampa in a 1-game sample to figure it out and win. They're kind of that same. We were just talking about winning the game.
Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago. Minnesota's really good. I mean, Minnesota's really good. I just like if it's a 1-game playoff scenario, give me Detroit.
I think Minnesota is very good. I don't trust Sam Darnold to cross the street with me.
But
Detroit,
then
yeah, Detroit's good.
Washington, Dallas, Philly. Like I trust Washington more than either of those other two teams at this point.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's
Nick
Detroit.
Sirianni's going to get fired.
Yeah, they're not. We saw this coming from a mile away. They're not very good. All right, we're back. We'll round out the hour. Thanks for playing. Thank you. Good job, Riders. Well done today. Jacob Bigelow is going to join us at the top of the hour. Plenty to come on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, so the playoffs, or at least MLB playoff coverage starts in just a couple minutes on ABC. Right now, if you go to KETV, your local ABC affiliate in Omaha, you'll see breaking national news coverage in
international
news coverage, but on American television.
Sure.
About some things that are going on in Israel, in Tel Aviv. You have a man reporting from Tel Aviv right now. This may affect coverage of the very first playoff game, which is set to start at the bottom of the 1 o'clock hour between the Tigers and the Astros. So good start. Good start.
Luckily, Disney has many a network they could stick it on.
Well, you'd have to take McAfee off ESPN.
No, I think they do like ESPN2 or
you
ESPN.
You want to put the Israel coverage on ESPN?
No, I want Pat McAfee to do the Israel coverage, if I'm being honest.
That would be unfortunate for all involved.
It's a throwdown!
It would be that would probably start some international conversation.
Probably. I'm not a news reporter. AJ, you got anything?
And then he just sits there in silence. They've been having Aaron Rodgers on right now for about the last 45 minutes.
He was on last week too. I thought we weren't going to do this anymore, Pat.
Yeah, he's on there, talking about God knows what. So that's fun. Baseball. Oh yes. Josh reminded me of something. I looked to my calendar today and it says it's October 1st. It's a great day. We got Creighton and Marquette volleyball tonight at 6:00.
That's a big one.
It's a nationally televised game. It's on FS1. I believe it's according to dear Mr. Anderson, it is the only televised college volleyball match in the country.
Tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're not into the baseball, you get the volleyball. So it's a big day there.
It's on 1180 as well.
Come join us out at DJ Sokol Arena.
Mm-hmm.
But today is Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday.
We did it.
Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday, and I have seen no reporting of anything that would interrupt that. Have you?
No.
I've seen no reporting of anything that would potentially interrupt that.
I believe we have made it.
I think we have. Once you get to the day, you've made it, right? You don't have to get to the time of the birth. You got to get to the day.
Not at that point.
At that point, no. I don't think so either. So we wanted to say happy birthday to Jimmy Carter, who is 100 years old and is only awake some days.
What better way to celebrate than A, if you're here in Omaha, going to ZZ Top, and B,
definitely
Jimmy Carter, huge ZZ Top fan, or B, giving the Georgia native an Atlanta Braves playoff victory.
Oh.
In a bullpen game.
What do you think he thought about Alabama, Georgia on Saturday?
I'll bet he thought it was thrilling. I'll also bet he thought that former presidents have no place at a football stadium. He just seems like that kind of guy.
Go Dogs. Yesterday was a tough day. We lost Pete Rose and Dikembe. We didn't talk about Dikembe Mutombo yesterday.
We really didn't.
I feel bad about that. And then Pete Rose passed, and then it became about something else, which is like they each should have. I didn't know that Dikembe Mutombo was sick. It was such a surprise.
I think that was his choice, and that's fine.
You're right. Yeah,
but
people choose to do it that way.
Whoa.
I know. It was a big shock.
Yeah.
It was a big shock.
Also, the math doesn't add up that he was only 58.
I know. When did he retire? When was he in a commercial?
I don't know.
He was doing the finger wag commercials not that long ago.
Definitely.
Swatting stuff out of the grocery cart and things like that. I read a lot of stories yesterday about just like how good of a guy he was and how good of an ambassador for the game he was and all that stuff.
09 was his last season in the league.
Really? 09?
Played for the Rockets from 04
it was yesterday.
to 09.
Yeah, he was wearing those jerseys, the ones that say Rockets on them, but they had the weird like stripes on the side. I could see it. Like Yao Ming introduced those.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Did they have Yao and Dikembe Mutombo?
There's no way, right?
That's too tall of people to be on the same team.
I'm on it here. 2002 to 2011, Yao Ming. Dikembe Mutombo was backing up Yao Ming.
He was backing up. I wonder if they were ever on the floor at the same time. That was the tallest lineup of all time. And we lost Pete Rose yesterday, and then a whole debate ensued about whether he's going to make the Hall of Fame or not.
And then the phrase "lifetime ban" was put under a microscope, even though that's not what Major League Baseball ruled on Pete Rose. He was permanently ineligible, so it was all it's all for naught. It's not a lifetime ban for Pete Rose. He's permanently ineligible.
Well, he gets he had been filing appeals over several, like he had maintained his innocence for a long time, and then eventually was just like, all right, I've been lying. I was fibbing.
You got me.
So I better come clean on this one. He was like, yeah, it was kind of happening a lot, but it's amazing. I mean, we don't have the hit king in the Hall of Fame, and we don't have the home run king in the Hall of Fame.
Some would say you don't have the best pitcher in the Hall of Fame either.
That's true. I think all of that is stupid, to be completely honest with you. But now what's going to happen is they're going to let him in posthumously and it'll be a big celebration, and he won't be here to see it.
We're here to right one of baseball's greatest wrongs.
That might not be the way it's framed. That might not be the way it's framed. By the way, Major League Baseball, very careful with their words yesterday.
Boy, it took them quite a while to craft a statement.
I think that's because it was very carefully crafted, Josh.
It took them 2 hours before they acknowledged.
I think they needed
passing.
every bit of those 2 hours.
How are we going to do this, guys?
Every bit of those 2 hours.
It was 83. They didn't have anything on file ready to go?
No. I was wondering, when do you think they tape the Kirkjian thing? Like, do you think they just sit that in the back and wait until it happens?
I don't know.
Or did he just do that yesterday? I don't know.
He wasn't at Braves Mets, or he wasn't working it for television.
I'm not sure what Kirkjian was up to. It was a good piece they put together.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back. Jacob Bigelow will join us on the other side. Is our dear friend Jacob in Chicago at the basketball Sicko Media Days?
I believe I saw something that said he'll be there tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Full preview then. Next on 1620 The Zone.
He's heating up.
That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you.
Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire.
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620, The Zone.
Boom shakalaka.
Here's a stat. If certainly anybody, nobody cares, but I have to stop. Josh is trying to tell me to stop apologizing for these things.
Good start.
I got an email from Illinois, a press release from the University of Illinois. Michael Massey, Kansas City Royals second baseman Michael Massey, is set to become the first Illinois position player to play in the MLB postseason since Scott Spezio in 2006 with the St. Louis Cardinals. Michael Massey, he of Illinois. One day, the Vinny Pasquantino guilted. Sorry to keep Jacob hanging on just one more second. One day, Vinny Pasquantino, this all happened in Omaha. He guilted Michael Massey into making a Twitter account because they were referring to Massey as Twitterless Michael Massey for all this day.
Okay, I remember that.
They said, Massey, you have to make a Twitter account. And so what he decided to settle on was like M_Mass_19_Bears. He's just like, I have to put in here something about the Bears. I love the Bears. So Michael Massey, a starter in the postseason, Illinois alum, and a Bears fan. As that has no good segue to Jacob Bigelow, our next guest, joins us now via the 42 Degrees Source hotline. Sorry for that big preamble, Jacob. Hello.
Hello. Little do you know that was actually an excellent preamble because shout out Scott Spezio. I'll just say that. Shout out.
I was going to say, I bet you didn't think.
Soul patch.
I was going to say, I bet you didn't think that Scott Spezio was going to be a part of the lead-in to this interview today.
I certainly did not, but I'll gladly take any Scott Spezio reference. Shout out to the 06 Cardinals and his red soul patch. So.
Yep. He's definitely a guy. That's for sure. Definitely a name in baseball history. All right. So what's your travel schedule look like? You're off to the Sicko Media Days tomorrow. Is this true?
I am off tomorrow. Yes, hitting the road to Chicago tomorrow. I almost called it a nickname, but I'm going to call it Chicago.
What are you expecting at this Sicko Media Days?
I'm expecting a lot of sicko stuff at Sicko Media Days, as it appears the Big Ten is poising itself to be once again a very sicko basketball conference, as evidenced by the fact that in the first Ken Palm projection of conference standings, they projected half the team to go 10-10. Not half the teams. Half the teams in the league to go 10-10.
Oh my God! Wait, how did you find that out? Did you look at Ken Palm? It's October.
I saw it on Twitter, actually. I have not logged into Ken Palm yet.
Okay, I just logged in for the first time in several months. Wow. Wow. It's It looks the same as it always does. It kind of gives me flashbacks and memories.
Indeed. Yeah, it has looked the same for quite a while, but it's Ken Palm projected half the Big Ten to go 10-10 in basketball. There's a lot of hype around, some programs, some specific programs, some specific players that are, yet to either play a game together or play a college game that are going to get talked about a lot. There's, it's going to be interesting, but I'm still looking forward to it, and especially because I haven't been to Chicago since I was like 13. So nice. It'll be fun.
One more basketball question before we move on to some more pressing matters. Where would you expect Nebraska to be chosen in the basketball preseason? Like what is the range of which they can be picked? I don't know too many people who are like gung ho on them being a top 7-8 team in the league right now. Where would you expect them to sit as we'll get the media poll tomorrow?
Yeah, I would expect around 10th, 11th, 12th, that range. I think the highest I've seen them by far was in the Big Ten preview that The Athletic put out today, CJ Moore, and I forget who the other guy was on it, but they had Nebraska listed 8th. And talked and said that this looks the most like a Fred Hoiberg roster since he's been in Lincoln, among other things. But that's the highest I've seen them picked by far. So I'd expect them to be around 10th, 11th, 12th, that range. In the
middle of the league. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, there's 100 teams in the league now. If they get picked in the middle, I think that's actually progress because they're usually 14th in a 16-team league, and then you could just, put them off there, and that's 14th or 13th in a 14-team league or 12th in a 14-team league. It's middle of an 18-team league actually doesn't seem that bad.
No, it doesn't. My favorite, oddly specific Nebraska basketball stat to tell people who aren't from here is that since they've joined the Big Ten, they've either played on the opening night in the bottom four or on Friday in the top four in the Big Ten tournament. They have never been in between. It's either been double bye or opening night, bottom four or top four, no in between.
It's amazing.
But it'll be the new look 15-team Big Ten tournament with this coming spring, but we got a long way to go until we get there.
Yeah, we do. A long haul to get to that point. But it'll be here before you know it, as the basketball sickos like to say. Okay, on to football here. Do you find yourself coming off of the Purdue win, Nebraska's win against Purdue? Do you find yourself more, less, or the same amount of optimistic for what's to come for Nebraska football? Did that change your perspective on what you feel about this team anyway, positively or negatively?
Not really. It didn't really move the needle for me in any way. I've kind of hammered home that I think my biggest takeaway from Saturday was just how bad Purdue is. I mean, that was the thing that stood out to me the most. Unless you're Pro Football Focus and Hudson Card somehow was the highest rated quarterback in the conference when his OC got fired the next day, but we don't need to talk about that. But Purdue really is bad. That was my biggest takeaway. I finally went back and watched the majority of the game yesterday, and just Purdue is bad. That's a sad state of affairs, especially for a Big Ten football program. And Nebraska did what they're supposed to do. They're a good team, not a great team, and good teams are supposed to beat bad teams. And in the second half, they imposed their will and got the job done on the road. I don't think any major sweeping declarations can be made about Nebraska off that game. I don't think that it really changes my outlook much at all.
Okay, talking about Purdue, I was just thinking of this as you were explaining it. Obviously, they're no good, and there's some frustration there with Ryan Walters, who was viewed as a really good young coach coming in and getting the job last year, but it hasn't gone to plan so far. So I'm thinking about Purdue and their history and like how they've been sort of the outlier in the Big Ten and the cradle of quarterbacks. They throw it around the yard, and Brom, they went to the conference championship game just a couple of years ago, and now they've sort of gone away from their thing, right? The thing that kind of made them different, the thing that kind of made them special. It's like that conversation, we've been having it more as it gears to teams like Nebraska or now Wisconsin in the Big Ten. But I mean, I don't know what the right answer is for Purdue, but there's definitely something to be said for changing the fundamental like cores of what you believe in your program as far as how you want to play football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Purdue football really is like, it's kind of an if you know thing, but it feels like they've always got a quarterback. They're always gonna bomb the ball. They're gonna find a way to at least they may give up a ton of points, but they can score some too. And
they flipped it like they brought in a defensive coach and they're gonna figure it out on offense basically.
Yeah, they definitely they flipped it on its head, and it's definitely they are clearly the sinking ship when it comes to Big Ten football teams looking at them. I mean, from top to bottom, that's for sure. So I don't know how that'll end up there, but I'm sure many in West Lafayette are already looking forward to basketball.
Jacob, how big are these next two? If we can bundle up these next two games into one package for Nebraska, I think you could convince me of any result, whether it be 1-1 or 2-0 or 0-2. Like how big are these in the grand scheme of things and setting things up not only for the back half of this season or the back 5 games of this season, but also trying to decide what you're going to be going forward. Like I feel like this is a gigantic 2-week stretch, even though the opponents lack the big names that people like to see.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a really big stretch coming. I mean, obviously, the Nebraska started the season with 4 at home. They go on the road, they get the job done. Coming back home to play a Rutgers team that, as cliche as it is, we've heard Rule and the assistant coaches allude to it. They know what they're going to do. They play their game. They play hard. They play tough, that whole thing. But coming back home off the road win, welcoming in a team that's they're going to run the ball right at you. I mean, they're going to, Rule comparing Kyle Monungai to the Matrix was definitely not on my bingo card yesterday, but it's pretty accurate. It's a pretty accurate description. He's a really tough running back. He's the 5th leading rusher in the country. And they're gonna pound the rock, and I'm interested to see how the defense looks against the Rutgers rushing attack. And then it's going to be, and then obviously we can cross the Indiana bridge when we get there. But the chance of them being undefeated and all the hype and enthusiasm surrounding that program now in Bloomington, going on the road again, it's a pretty big 2 weeks. And while Rutgers and Indiana are not marquee opponents that Husker fans are accustomed to looking forward to, 2 pretty good teams, and they got 2. Whether you like them or not, they got 2 pretty damn good coaches who are, they know what they want to do. They know how their teams are going to play.
Situation alert, Jacob. We got. I'll just give you this. Like, let's just say it's third and short, and you're in field goal range. How are you approaching this right now with the Nebraska offense, knowing what you know about it and knowing what you know about what could potentially be coming on 4th down, which is the general distrust of the kicking and the special teams game?
I mean, my first response is, what do you even consider field goal range with this current, predicament?
Traditional field goal range, normal field goal range for normal people.
Yeah, normal field goal range for normal people. Wow, Nebraska football and normal—that's almost an oxymoron. But I think at this point, Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield might be calling plays on offense from the opponent's side of the 50, like they're playing Madden against somebody you really want to beat, and you're not kicking field goals. You're just going for it. You're just someone saying, you can't go for it. We got to play fair. You're like, nope, I'm running it up on you one way or another. Like, you're trying to, I think it's going to be 4-down territory for a lot of the opponent's side of the 50 until further notice. At least that's how it would be if I was in charge, given the current situation.
Okay, so do you do the run the ball guy thing where it's like, we got to be able to get 3 yards on 3rd and 3, or 2 yards on 3rd and 2, or 1 yard on 3rd and 1, or 4th and 1? We got to run it. Or are you more comfortable with it in Dylan Raiola's hands, who, I mean, once again, I feel like this can't be reiterated enough. Like, he just constantly makes the right decisions. That's not a guarantee that people are going to be open or the play is going to work. But I don't know, man. Like, we're grappling with this weird thing right now where people really want to be able to run the ball, but their best decision maker and their best playmaker is the quarterback, and it's not necessarily in his skill set.
Yeah, I mean, I could almost make an argument that, obviously the biggest question mark and red flag with this team is special teams. I think you could almost make an argument that the second biggest question mark is the running game still. And we're going into, game 6, right? We're going into game 6. They're 4-1, right?
Game 6 is coming up.
So this is game 6, and I still don't think we have many answers at the running back spot. We've seen 2 guys really flash. We've seen one guy be a good pass protection option, and the 4th guy's on a milk carton. So I'd say there aren't really many answers with that group. I think obviously they want it to be pared down by when you're into November and you're playing those stereotypical Big Ten games. But I do agree with you. I think Dylan Raiola. I'm a Raiola.
Thank you.
Not Ray. I'm not Tim Brando. It's Raiola. So I think he's still your best decision maker, playmaker, and 3rd and short. I until further notice, I think the ball in his hands is your best option.
What's on deck from a food perspective in fall time shy tomorrow?
Fall time shy. I haven't decided yet. I don't know if I'm gonna do deep dish. I've kind of been on a little a little health kick, so I don't really know if I've got room for deep dish.
No, if you're on a health kick, you do not have room for deep dish. Let me just tell you.
No,
it is.
no,
That'll set you back a couple weeks.
No, I'll feel like garbage. I'll show up in the press box on Saturday still feeling like garbage if I do deep dish on this trip. But I've gotten a couple recommendations from some locals. May do a steak, may treat myself to a nice single man trip dinner somewhere. But, TBD. We're figuring it out, but there are definitely options on the table.
They got a Jersey Mike's.
See, you could put aside the health kick, but what you can't go as far as like saying I'm going to eat a deep dish pizza. That's a different part of putting aside the health kick.
No, I would definitely have to recruit some friends to come have deep dish with me. I don't think a solo deep dish quest is in the cards.
Okay. Maybe a Portillo's, maybe an Italian beef. I do love that place. Get the paper hat while you're at it.
Maybe I was going to say, should I recreate that picture of you in the Portillo's hat, except it's me?
You should. It'd be great for Josh. It'd be great for Josh Odson to get content out of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. It's almost like I need a new headshot when I come on the show and not a picture of me where I look 14. So me in a Portillo's hat, maybe.
You look like a boy genius.
Something like that.
All right, Jacob. Enjoy your trip, my friend. Good luck with the basketball sickos. You'll be in basketball sicko heaven up there.
I will. I'll be back to my roots, around my people, and then I'll still be in the football press box on Saturday. Look at me going places.
Awesome.
But appreciate the time, like always, Hap, and we'll chat next week.
That is Jacob Bigelow of Huskers Illustrated and the Stretch Big Pod. You're gonna be doing some big things with the pod soon too.
Hey, I'm not drinking anymore. I think I'll have some Mad Dog 2020.
So have you seen, first of all, okay, so second thing, do you agree with me on the deep dish pizza? I love deep dish pizza, but I have never not felt absolutely disgusting and awful after I've eaten even just a slice.
A lengthy nap afterwards.
It is time. Horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But delicious. Delicious.
Agree.
And pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is pizza.
Just so we can clear those out. Second of all, you don't know what Portillo's picture he's referencing of me?
I don't know your Portillo's picture. No.
All right, I'll show you. I'll show you my Portillo's picture.
Ooh,
you're
okay.
You're gonna like it, or maybe somebody will send it in. So it's out there. It exists.
Mm-hmm.
People have memed it. All right, we'll come back. We still have a few things to discuss on the show today, including something that we didn't get to yesterday: a handshake meme.
Oh,
between big conferences, a handshake meme,
an alliance,
yes, and conference realignment as that pops up yet again. We'll be back after this on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. right, so poll question up at Happer Show. If you were drunk, would you tease a python?
Very importantly worded question.
Please vote. Please vote. Please vote.
It's important.
Husker follower comments.
My Husker follower
was hoping this poll question would have been simply, do you tease the python?
No.
That's not what we were asking.
We are the least horny show on this radio station.
We have a reputation to uphold. We cannot do that. Josh, have you now? I tweeted my Portillo's picture at you. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
There's me.
I have seen this photo before.
I don't know why I took that picture of myself.
Oh, I don't care why.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get into my own mind why. I really enjoyed I don't know what year that was. It was one of the media days, and we were staying downtown, and we really didn't want to, we didn't have a car, and we wanted to drive, and we wanted to take an Uber. So we were like, we could walk. And then it ended up being like a treacherous walk. It was extremely hot, and everybody's honking at you, and it's not like a commonly walked place, and you're going up hills and stuff. It ended up being like 25. I really enjoyed the Portillo's, but I didn't enjoy the walk to get there from downtown.
No,
that's what I remember about the experience.
Yeah.
Also, the Italian beef was delicious.
It's some of the best.
It's very good. It's very good.
I'm glad you took this photo.
I guess I am too. I'm glad it's there. All right, playoff baseball starts in just a couple minutes with Day Baseball Zone Detroit Tigers. I got an hour and a half until I need to be bunkered down in a hole and in a silent, quiet place. I wish the Verizon outage would have been today. That way no one could contact me.
No one can bother me.
That would have been awesome. But instead, Verizon is back, and people are going to be contacting me during this game. Don't contact me.
Did you see that?
I just do you think they're done? They're down 3-0 in the fifth.
Oh, you've got volleyball tonight.
I know. So I'm going to leave here after the crossover. I think I'm going to grab some food somewhere, and I think I'm going to go to DJ Sokol Arena, and I'm just going to be in there.
Okay.
And I haven't requested a room or anything so it's going to be a semi quasi public space.
Ooh.
But I'm going to
come to the game early tonight.
So on the Facebook movie, what's the movie called?
The Social Network.
The Social Network, when what's his name? Andrew Garfield breaks back into the place, and Justin Timberlake goes, he's locked, he's plugged in right now. That's going to be me. I'm going to be the plugged in guy.
All right. I follow.
It's going to be like I'm coding a very important thing, but I'll just be watching the first Royals playoff game in 9 years. That'll be me. And
look at you.
An hour and a half. Handshake meme. Sources. Big Ten SEC to talk possible scheduling partnership. Friendship. Josh, are you a fan of friendship?
I am a fan of friendship.
Are you a fan of this particular friendship?
I need all the details before I answer.
Well, we don't have all of them, but we have some, or at least how the conference wants to portray it.
Okay.
The conferences want to portray it. This is from Heather Dinich of ESPN. It is widely reported over the last several days. The meeting is a continuation of the Big Ten SEC Joint Advisory Group, which was formed in February. It includes the league's university presidents, chancellors, athletic directors. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti are scheduled to meet with the athletic directors for one day. Quote, there is hope that we can definitely move the needle and make some progress on different things, one Big Ten source said. Now, this is from Dinich. The future scheduling partnership could hinge on whether the SEC eventually decides to go to 9 conference games. The topic one SEC source said hasn't been a focus of conversations lately. Some Big Ten ADs could push back on any agreement if the SEC doesn't move to 9 games because the Big Ten already plays 9 league opponents. Quote, from one source, if we're all going to figure this out, we've got to be on equal footing.
I would agree with that.
Do you think the SEC will give up its massive advantage right now? And because what you're asking is if you're going to be on equal footing and you're going to have a scheduling thing. Now, I don't know what that would amount to. Would it amount to a Big Ten SEC showdown, a crossover event of some sorts? Like, how would you equal that out, and how would you game it out so it's fair and equitable for each of the teams? The Big Ten already plays 9 conference games. The SEC already plays 8. Would the SEC give up their advantage by only playing 8 conference games to play 9 and then to add a 10th game with a Big Ten opponent? So if you're a team like Florida, for instance, Florida would play 9 conference games, a Big Ten opponent, and Florida State every year.
I don't know why they would agree to that.
I don't know why they would agree to that either, Josh. I'm not sure why they would handshake meme on any of this.
Yes, I understand that. Like, well, it should be fair. Both conferences should play the same. I agree with you on that. But if I'm the SEC, why would I budge? It's not like there's a ruling, governing body for the sport.
And then there's conversation about the playoff as well. Sources in both leagues told ESPN on Monday they'd prefer to have potentially 4 automatic bids each to the playoff when the next contract begins in 2026. That's what this is really about. Oh, okay. CFP leaders haven't determined yet what the playoff will look like beyond this season and next. Some said they need to know that before making any decisions about future scheduling partnerships. Quote, I'm for anything that gives us the maximum number of postseason opportunities, one SEC source said. I don't count bowl games as postseason opportunities. Remember, in March, I'll just read you from the story again. In March, college football playoff and ESPN announced a new 6-year, $7.8 billion contract that runs through the end of the 2031-2032 season. ESPN secured a 6-year agreement that had cost over $1 billion annually, beginning in 2 seasons. So after next year, the contract is built as either 11 or 13 games, all of which are playoff games in a 12 or 14 team field. These are protections in place for the ACC, Big Ten, SEC, and Big 12 conference champions, Notre Dame, and the highest ranked group of 5 in a new contract. In order for some guarantees, though, the other FBS conferences and Notre Dame surrendered the bulk of control over the future format to the SEC and the Big Ten. Once again, I interpret this as they're meeting to get on the same page for what they want the college football playoff to look like going forward, because they are pretty much the sole proprietors in that decision-making process. And they can say and do whatever they want. As long as, that's what they gave up. That's what the other conferences gave up. They said, remember that whole storyline in the summer that was like the SEC and the Big Ten want auto bids, and the other conferences were like, whoa, hang on. And then the Big Ten went back and they were like, fine, you guys can have your auto bids, but we want control of what the playoff is going to look like going forward.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That was their trade-off. And so they want it to look very heavily slanted to the Big Ten and the SEC. And they have a good argument for it. You'll see the college football playoff rankings when they come out the first time, and it'll just be littered with Big Ten and SEC teams.
We'll let you in, but we run this thing.
I think that's kind of what this is about. They're meeting, quote unquote, in this regard. I would highly doubt. Now, here's the thing. We're meeting with athletic directors. We're meeting with athletic directors and commissioners to get their input on things. What do you think the athletic director's input is going to be on scheduling correspondences as it maybe compares to, I don't know, television networks? I think they're probably going to think differently. Don't you think the AD at X SEC or Big Ten school is probably going to say, holy God, guys, we're going to play 9 conference games, or we already play non-conference games if you're a Big Ten school, and we were going to play an SEC school too in non-conference, and we're going to pretend like this, this isn't going to hurt us at the end of the season as it pertains to college football playoff bids. Now, once again, they're trying to make it so they can control all that stuff as well. What do you think the TV networks want? What do you think ESPN wants, and Fox and all the other networks involved in the Big Ten conference?
They'd probably like a Big Ten SEC showdown.
They would love this. It would be their favorite thing. So they're going to get all of the thoughts, the many thoughts that go around.
They'd love Northwestern Vanderbilt and Mississippi State Purdue.
No, But what they really love is Ohio State and Alabama.
Oh,
happening in
okay.
September.
Sure, that would also be good.
I frankly like if now we could bring in the fans' perspective as well. As a fan of college football, the conferences are so big now. We get such good conference matchups and that huge data points that are going to tell us about where teams are ranked and how good they are when we get to the college football playoff. Do we really need Ohio State and Alabama to play in September and then again in January? I don't personally. I know people will take the perspective of, oh, like I want to watch more good football games. Like we are gonna get those in the non-conference without saying definitively that a Big Ten team has to play an SEC team all year. Like I don't see the need to do this from really any angle. And frankly, I don't even know if that's on the table. But that's one of the ideas that gets thrown out there when you talk about, scheduling partnerships between two conferences.
Do the schools get together and make this a Travis Schmackery and like, well, we can't have Ohio State losing to Alabama, so we would prefer Ohio State play Missouri.
Well, I don't know. That doesn't help anybody either.
It's a Power 4 game. Somebody would televise it.
But they're already like Ohio
time.
State is already scheduling aggressively enough in the non-con where you just don't you don't have to make them do it. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe you could put a thing in there where you say, all right, well, you got to schedule another Power 5 team. That's fine.
Does this eliminate the I affectionately refer to it as the Citadel weekend?
If they go to 9, yes.
In the SEC.
If the SEC goes to 9, then yes.
I'm in favor of that. I would like that to go away.
Me too. Although I do appreciate the tradition of these conferences being so different and things like that. But it's
as important as Missouri at UMass is.
I have a hard time doing this because the standardization of the sport makes it easier to judge, right? If you have all the teams playing 9 conference games, then it makes it easier to judge because they have the same data points or similar data points. But I am generally against the standardization of college football because that's not college football. I love college football.
The quirks, the weirdo stuff is kind of what we like about this sport.
100%.
Yeah.
So I grapple with that every time it comes up. Do I care that much? Not really. It's not our conference.
Yeah.
I don't have to. Text from 402.
Hi, 402.
Did anyone ask Paul Feinbaum about the Big Ten getting 4 bids?
Ow!
He would probably not be happy about it. If someone in the conference, some coach in the conference said that the Big Ten was good. One of the Big Ten coaches had the gall to say, the Big Ten's good today.
How
Paul
dare they?
Feinbaum, your thoughts?
Not a chance.
Where does this guy get the balls to say something like that? The SEC would tear you a new one.
It was interesting. Paul Feinbaum was on First Take this morning, and he actually had to eat crow on his Coach Prime isn't good take.
Wait, is this decided? Coach Prime is good?
I don't. Stephen A. Smith made Paul Feinbaum apologize.
Wow, he just made that good of a case?
And Paul Feinbaum acquiesced.
Stephen A. Smith is as good as it gets, man.
Yeah.
Great job by him.
Ooh, yeah, sure. They were a 2-touchdown dog at UCF, and they won by 2, 3, 4 scores, however many it was. I don't know. I don't know if that's the final.
You just don't see that very much on television,
right?
Wow, I guess I apologize. I was wrong about my take. Usually, you just go the other way. You're just like, are you sure about that? Because I feel like I was right. All right, we'll come back. Playoff baseball is underway. Detroit and Houston. Framber Valdez has already walked a person. No perfect game today.
Sad.
Back after this with the polls, we'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. Hey, so I know I mentioned the Illinois alum in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Why not mention the Nebraska ones? They have more than one. More than just Michael Massey.
Whoa. Illinois baseball resurgence.
3 former Huskers made wild card round rosters. Jake Myers is hitting 9th today for the Houston Astros.
Then who?
Cade Povich, friend of the show.
That's right.
Is on the Orioles playoff roster. I don't think he's going to be in the rotation, but a useful bullpen arm. Potentially if they need a long guy.
Then who?
And friend of the show, Aaron Bummer, is in the playoffs for the first time as a Brave and the third time in his career. Remember, the White Sox were in the playoffs in 2020 and 2021. Remember that? Feels like a long time ago, Josh.
That really does, yeah.
Aaron Bummer back in the playoffs where he has appeared in 5 games with an 0-1 record at a 5.79 ERA in 4 2/3 innings. And Spencer Schwellenbach, but he missed the Braves wild card roster after he started the final game of the final day of the regular season yesterday.
That's how short the wild card series is and how quick of a turnaround there is. He's not even on the roster.
He's arguably like their 5th best player, and he missed the roster.
Not 5th best pitcher.
Player, period. Yes. 100%. To the polls. Josh, I'd like to say before that, great screenshot of you appearing to die yesterday, as I believe Francisco Lindor was ripping your heart out. That is an incredible, incredible picture.
I came in here when Ozzy hit a 3-run double or triple or something like that. So I said, okay, I've got to come in there and give them something when I lose. Like, that's only fair.
That's really good. That's you did your job. You're hamming it up a little bit, but it's a screenshot that lives forever.
It is how I felt at the time.
Much like the times the time you puked on the air. People
it happened. That. These are things that happen.
Do people blow bubbles?
My kid loves it.
You should have wrote like anymore. Do people blow bubbles anymore?
Okay.
Do people blow bubbles? Yes.
Sure.
59% say yes. A little low. If you were drunk, would you tease a python?
Most voted on poll question of the day.
I would not. If I were sober, I would not tease a python. If I were drunk, I would also not tease a python.
Now, in that exact situation, if I'm drunk in the street and there's also a python in the street, I can't tell you what I would or would not do.
Oh, I would certainly not engage with the python.
Smarter man than I.
I might get a little bit closer than I should, but I'm not engaging with it. That's for sure. You see a python in the streets, don't approach that python.
Do you mock it?
Yeah, no. 77% say no. And finally, shout out to Scott Spezio, ? Sure. Shout out to Scott Spezio.
I would say, yeah, I think so.
69% say no. No shout out to Scott Spezio.
Not nice. Really?
Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching today?
We're watching baseball. Yeah. It's the playoffs. It's the wild card round. Best of 3, all in one location. No days off. Detroit and Houston are mixing it up right now on ABC. 3 o'clock.
Someone just told me that I have a disgustingly gorgeous baby. Thoughts? Is this true?
It is true. I would word it differently, but
disgustingly gorgeous baby.
Yeah. It seems unfair how cute your baby is.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that baby can watch the Royals in the playoffs.
And she will. Well, she probably won't. Actually,
won't. Yeah.
I won't be home.
3 o'clock, ESPN 2 or 1180 The Zone. Mets and Brewers 4:30 on ESPN, followed by the Braves and the Padres at 7:30. WNBA doing their playoff thing right now. The Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty, game 2. New York leads 1-0. The Libs, that's right. 6:30 on ESPN2, followed by Connecticut and the Minnesota Lynx. Connecticut leads that series 1-0. Volleyball tonight, number 6, Creighton hosts Marquette in the biggest match of their conference season. I think that would be a fair assessment of what's happening tonight.
It's gonna be lit, Josh. It's gonna be loud. That building gets so loud.
I have heard this. I can't get a ticket, so I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
It's a very popular event. 6 o'clock. You can watch it on FS1. You can listen to it on 1180 The Zone. And
Look at 1180 The Zone today.
Big day for 1180. Finally, the NHL is on. Preseason hockey.
No, skip that.
Devils Rangers.
Watch never now.
6 o'clock. Thank you. It's on TNT and True TV. It's on 2 networks, and it's a game that doesn't count. That is followed by the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche at 8:30, also on TNT and True TV. Connor.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you. You could have ended that earlier. But I did get to watch Devil now for the first time in a while, so that's good.
It's preseason for that bit, too.
There you go. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching tonight. Go Royals.
Go Braves.
That's all I have to say.
Also, go Royals. I'm rooting for the Royals. They're a fun team to watch. Bobby Witt Jr. has quite the stage to elevate his name in the
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. The crossover, if you missed anything, by the way, 1620 The Zone is where you can find it. The crossover is next.